Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to be stopped.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
Face off!
I am not a church boy.
Face off!
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Thursday midday edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobler once again.
Hello.
What's the name of this place you're at now? I forget. I get all the names confused. Westerner that I am.
I'm in Hue.
Okay. All right. Hue. And the last one was Sapa.
Last one was Sapa. Very good.
Right.
Very good. Yes, I've not. Maybe Sunday I'll do a wrap up slideshow. Yeah, in Sapa, the big attraction there is to go to the top of Fansipan, which is the highest point in Indochina. That was crazy. I have never been at a height where the oxygen is an issue. And yeah, they tell you because you take a cable car up there, obviously, but then there's 600 steps if you want to get to the summit. They say take a break every 30 steps. And I took it seriously, but maybe not seriously enough, because once I started to really get to the top, I was pounding it. And yeah, at one point, I felt like I was going to pass out. And then I respected it a little more, and I was fine. But you see casualties going up, man. You see people laying on benches, they can't make it.
Wow.
So yeah, but now I'm in Hue, which I haven't had time to really explore. But the hotel I'm in is right across from their famous bridge. I don't know how to say it off the top of my head, but it's beautiful, man. You have like pulsing, different colored lights. I'll look it up over the course of the show. I'll tell you, but it's just absolutely a beautiful city. I'm right across from the river where I am. This is the Perfume River, which again is one of the weird things about being in Vietnam, because you've heard of all these places from the military campaign. Like all these places you're going to, that's the association that you have.
Right. Well, speaking of Vietnam, we are debuting our newly revamped Dissident Film Club this Saturday night at 8 p.m. And our opening film is going to be Land of Sorrows, which is a Vietnam War film with Right Brain TV. So that's going to be 8 p.m. Saturday night for members. Patreon.com/Do Dissidents. What we're planning to do is we're planning to have a discussion about the film beforehand that will be open to the public, and then we're going to switch over to our private stream. It'll be about a 20-minute talk about the film and the context, which obviously Russ will be able to speak to very well, seeing as he is in Vietnam right now. Then we'll switch over to the private stream for the screening of the film, or we'll be on screen providing some commentary, probably with Kevin Ronka from Right Brain TV, who the plan as of now is that he will be joining us for this. And then we'll do a little talk back afterwards. So that those will be member perks. So if you want to sign up, it's going to be really awesome. It's going to be a monthly thing with Right Brain TV. This is the launch of our collaboration. So patreon.com/Do Dissidents starts at just $5 a month. You can also join our Substack as well, or our locals. That's up to you. Rumble Premium members will also have access to the bonus content. So if you sign up for Rumble Premium, you get all the bonus content perks that you get with us, plus you get ad-free Rumble and other bonus content from other Rumble creators who you may follow. So those are the options there, but our members will have access to these film clubs, of course. So dodissidents.substack.com, $5 a month or $50 annually, or you can sign up monthly at Patreon. That is up to you all.
All right, so one cool thing about doing this film is it's a war movie that was made while the war is going on. And they actually used footage of the bombing and evacuation of Hue, which is exactly where I am right now. Now, I haven't had time to really explore much beyond the hotel. I got in last night, and then we had the show today. Just walked around the immediate area a little bit. But from what I understand, tomorrow I'm doing a big city tour with a guide. And the Citadel, this was the Imperial City. They moved the capital here in the early 19th century. It stayed here until I think they declared independence from France. I think 1945. It was until then. It was the temporary capital. The Imperial City is mostly bombed. It mostly got bombed. Like they restored a lot of it. So by the time we actually show that movie, I'll probably have seen a lot of the places depicted there that are being bombed in the movie. And the name of the bridge is the Truong Tien Bridge.
All right. Awesome. All right. So we got plenty to get to today. So thanks, everybody, for being here. 883 strong in the YouTube chat. Start things off. 269 over on Rumble. Now up to 271. Please do smash that like button wherever you are.
Yes, they expelled French in 1954. They declared independence in 1945.
There you go.
Took a while. The French didn't just fold up the tents and go home when they declared independence. Took a while.
All right. Well, speaking of war, we got some war news to get to today. Potentially important talks going on as we speak. Knock on wood. Not holding out hope. The reason I'm not hopeful for these Iran talks is as follows. J.D. Vance had his big Colin Powell moment yesterday while on stage with Dr. Oz talking about another scheme to impoverish and immiserate the American people. Here he is talking about evidence that's emerged that Iran is developing a nuclear weapon.
Here Can you explain to the American people why the United States would need to strike Iran to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon if the United States obliterated their enrichment program last summer?
Well, I'm not going to make any news on Iran today, Caitlin. I'll let the president make those announcements. As you know, he is sending 2 of his best negotiators to Geneva tomorrow in order to continue to try to strike the best deal possible for the American people. But the principle is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they try to rebuild their nuclear weapon, that causes problems for us. And in fact, we've seen evidence that they have tried to do exactly that. So the president sending those negotiators to try to address that problem, as the president has said repeatedly, he wants to address that problem diplomatically, but of course the president has other options as well.
I remember when there was reporting that J.D. Vance was one of very few people in Trump's inner circle trying to dissuade him from bombing Iran.
Yeah.
I never really bought it, and it seems like even if that did happen, he is falling in line like the good little boy he is. And yeah, I wasn't alone in thinking this was his Colin Powell moment. This became kind of a meme. Oh, wow, another piece of evidence. Yes, indeed. We've seen evidence Iran is trying to rebuild nuclear weapons, says J.D. Vance. We've heard this exact line before. Colin Powell at the UN in 2003. We've seen evidence of Iraq's mobile bioweapons labs, NWMDs. We all remember what happened next. Turned out to be completely false. History about to repeat itself. Yeah, the mobile bioweapons lab. I remember that like it was yesterday. He's like, look, there's a vehicle parked outside this building, and then 5 hours later, it's not there. Oh, well, that could only mean that it's a mobile bioweapons lab and that we have to invade Iraq. That's the only explanation for why there's, in one picture, we see a truck, in another picture, we don't see a truck. Well, I rest my case, right? What more evidence do you need, America? Do you hate America? If you don't hate America, you believe me, right? So here's J.D. Vance.
When Colin Powell gave that speech, what I thought was, okay, it's just obvious bullshit. Like, it was just obvious to me. That, and at that time, I mean, I was a kid, but
I was 16. I was a literal kid.
I was like in college.
I was young enough for Epstein.
It was obvious bullshit, but I thought, and I still think I'm probably right about this. They figured they would bullshit their way through this UN meeting, and what are the odds we don't find anything, and then we can retroactively justify it.
Right.
They never expected that he really didn't have anything. They thought they just needed the pretext and we'll find stuff.
Right. Right. Exactly. Kind of like our right brain TV screening. Like, we're announcing it in the hopes that it'll actually happen. And if it doesn't, then we'll explain afterwards.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about that.
I know, I'm joking. Funny stuff. All right. So J.D. Vance says you can't let the craziest and worst regime in the world have nuclear weapons, but Israel already has nukes. So here he is on Fox News trying to sell it again.
Crystal clear as it could be, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That would be the ultimate military objective if that's the route that he chose. That is, of course, what we're trying to accomplish, as the president said, through the preferred route of diplomacy. But it's very simple. We have to get to a position where Iran, the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, cannot threaten the world with nuclear terrorism. And it's very simple. I think most Americans understand that you can't let the craziest and worst regime in the world have nuclear weapons. That's what the president is accomplishing. That's what
the craziest and worst regime in the world. Really, ask any other country in the world who the craziest and worst regime in the world is. I bet you're going to hear the United States a lot more than you hear Iran or Israel. If there's a difference there, perhaps that's a difference without a distinction, or a distinction without a difference.
The president has set as our goal. He's going to try to accomplish it diplomatically, but as we all know, Bill, the president has a number of other tools at his disposal to ensure this doesn't happen. He's shown a willingness to use them, and I hope the Iranians take it seriously in their negotiations tomorrow, because that's certainly what the president prefers.
Does that mean the supreme leader has to go?
Man, they are just itching for
it. Well, again, I think the president ultimately will make the decision about how to...
Again, look, I know that we campaigned against doing this, and I know we're about to do it, even though it's not in the national interest to do it. Now, unlike the president, I plan to win 2 more presidential races in my lifetime, and so I can't really act like I'm all in on this, because I know this is awful, and I know this is the opposite of what we were elected to do. So I'm just going to punt and stall and defer to the president, who's a lame duck. He doesn't have to run for office ever again. It's just amazing. It's just incredible.
Has to go.
Well, again, I think the president ultimately will make the decision about how to ensure Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. But we're sitting down having another round of diplomatic talks with the Iranians, trying to reach a reasonable settlement.
We did that with Saddam too.
Towards what end? Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple, Bill. I think the Supreme Leader and everybody in their system should understand it. We've been crystal clear, and we're hopeful that we're able to come to a good resolution without the military. But if we have to use the military, the president, of course, has that right as well.
All right.
Once a country has a nuclear weapon, we are not able to overthrow the government and get them sodomized with a knife.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's we have we call it inside the White House the anal rape with a blade policy.
Yeah.
And if we can't anally rape you with a blade or send people to do it, that's not a position we're comfortable with.
Yeah, that's a threat to our national security.
That's a threat to our security. Once you have a nuclear weapon, we can't do that to you anymore. And that makes us nervous.
Right. Iran enters critical nuclear talks with U.S., insisting deal is within reach. Okay, so the craziest regime in the world seems to be begging for a deal. Let's see. Iran enters critical talks on its nuclear program with the U.S. on Thursday, insisting a deal is in reach as long as Washington sticks by its willingness to concede Iran's symbolic right to enrich uranium, allow Tehran to dilute its stockpile of highly enriched uranium, and not to impose controls on Iran's ballistic missile program. The three preconditions for success are seen as critical by Iranian diplomats, but it remains unclear whether Trump accepts these parameters. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Wednesday that it would be a, quote, big problem if Iran did not negotiate over missiles. The U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who is heading to Geneva for the talks along with Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, had already accepted these principles in the two previous rounds of indirect talks, Iranian officials claim. But it remains possible that Trump could overturn these terms, a step that will inevitably lead to a conflict between the two nations that could rapidly consume the whole of the Middle East. This is a very Israeli approach to negotiating, just like they agree to ceasefires and break ceasefires. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is why Donald Trump was so adamant that their program is completely obliterated, because he wanted to try and dissuade the Israelis from twisting his arm like this. But you can't do that, my friend. You can't do that. If there's anybody who knows that, it should be Donald Trump. A source in contact with Iran's negotiation team said members were surprised at the lax terms of the proposal submitted last week by Kushner and Witkoff as a first step. The key request, this source said, was that Iran agree to limit enrichment to 5% and convert the program to civilian use. But in turn, the source said there were no offers of immediate sanctions relief or diplomatic ties. Iran would be left in economic handcuffs. Still, the next step, the source said, would be negotiations to gradually relieve sanctions and opening dialogue. Before leaving for Geneva, the Iranian foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, said the aim was to achieve a fair and just agreement in the shortest possible time. Our fundamental positions and beliefs are completely clear. Iran will never, under any circumstances, seek to develop nuclear weapons. At the same time, we Iranians will never forgo our right to benefit from peaceful nuclear technology, he added. Achieving an agreement is within reach, but only if diplomacy is prioritized. I mean, you know, not to contradict our vice president, but that doesn't sound like the craziest regime on earth to me. I mean, doesn't sound like it, you know. Can we take them at their word? Well, I don't know. Can they take us at our word? We already scrapped the first deal we had with them. Can we take the Israelis at their word? Can anybody take the Israelis at their word? You got to ask yourself that. Meanwhile, here's Marco Rubio insisting Iran poses a very great threat to the United States and has for a very long time. They're not enriching right now, but they're trying to get to the point where they ultimately can. I'm sorry, if you lived through the Iraq war propaganda and you believe this, you are just an absolute hopeless moron. Like, if you remember the run up to the Iraq war and what was being said, and you actually take any of this at face value, you are an idiot.
Clear last night that he always prefers diplomacy. But I want you to understand, and everyone should know, that Iran poses a very great threat to the United States and has for a very long time. They are in possession, first and foremost, after their nuclear program was obliterated, They were told not to try to restart it, and here they are. You can see them always trying to rebuild elements of it. They're not enriching right now, but they're trying to get to the point where they ultimately can.
Trying to get to the point where they ultimately can. So it looks like we have to go to war over that.
The other thing I would point you to, however, is that Iran possesses a very large number of ballistic missiles, particularly short-range ballistic missiles that threaten the United States and our bases in the region and our partners in the region. And all of our bases in the UAE, in Qatar, in Bahrain. And they also possess naval assets that threaten shipping and try to threaten the U.S. Navy. So I want everybody to understand that, and beyond just a nuclear program, they possess these conventional weapons that are solely designed to attack America and attack Americans if they so choose to do so.
So they develop these weapons that are solely designed to attack America, yet they have not attacked America. It's interesting.
And to the soldiers sabotaging the USS Gerald Ford, I just have one message. If you want to go into combat with shit in your pants, we're fine with that.
Yeah,
we're fine with that. Don't think we're not going to start this war just because our sailors are fighting it with breeches full of shit.
Yeah.
In fact, that is how most of World War I was fought, and that worked out just fine.
We will not be deterred. But yeah, here's President Trump at the State of the Union, sounding very much like George Bush sounded in the pre-Iraq War State of the Union. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas. So here he is talking about not necessarily nuclear missiles, but the same kind of ICBMs that Rubio was referencing yesterday.
People, they've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America.
Oh, boy.
Any day now.
Trump said Iran will soon have missiles able to hit the U.S. A 2025 intel report said it will take 10 years. You know, speaking of intel reports, has anybody heard anything from Tulsi Gabbard in a while? I haven't heard a word out of Tulsi Gabbard in a very long time.
Nope.
You might think that you would hear from her.
No, she tweeted about how before the State of the Union, they all prayed.
That's right. Yeah, she did tweet about the prayer at the State of the Union, and I think she tweeted out some words of congratulations to the United States hockey team. I believe she tweeted out that as well. But, you know, war brewing with Iran based on debatable intelligence seems like a time where this supposed anti-establishment, anti-war DNI may, you know, make her opinion known, but really have not heard much from her as this march to war gets going. Interesting.
Are you telling me the Tulsi fuckboys were wrong?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying I'm taking the Gavin Newsom line here. I'm saying it's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting that you would not say anything in this run up to war, given that you've cautioned against these kinds of regime change wars your entire career. In fact, it's the only reason anybody knows who you are is because you stuck your neck out to oppose these regime change wars, and now the biggest one of all is about to happen. I think it's interesting that you haven't said anything. That's all. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
It's interesting to me that she hasn't said anything. In his State of the Union address Tuesday, President Donald Trump seemed to offer another rationale for possible military action against Iran, saying it was working to develop missiles that could soon be able to strike the U.S. It was the first time the president or any other U.S. official has portrayed Iran as poised to develop an intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM. Until now, U.S. intelligence agencies and European governments have said Iran could eventually build an ICBM under the cover of its military space program, if it chose to. In his State of the Union address... Nope, sorry, I got that one, right? Double. Sorry about that. But U.S. intelligence and military commanders have not publicly warned of an imminent threat due to a possible ICBM program. A Defense Intelligence Agency report released last year said Iran has space launch vehicles it could use to develop a militarily viable ICBM by 2035 should Tehran decide to pursue the capability. So should they decide to pursue the capability, they are 10 years out from making it a reality. A U.S. official told NBC News that Iran has been building toward an ICBM for years and making advances, but that there was no indication of dramatic new progress. All right, so you want to really hear a perfect distillation of the argument for regime change war in Iran. This went kind of viral this morning for good reason. What's this guy's name? Mark Wayne Mullen. Yeah, I knew he had one of those weird names, Mark Wayne. So Caitlin Collins asked him a very basic question here. If we obliterated Iran's nuclear program last summer, then why are you worried about it right now? And he says, because they're rebuilding it, and you could see they're rebuilding it. So I guess according to this logic, we just have to bomb Iran every 8 months because they can rebuild their nuclear program in 8 months. This is really the case for permanent war that he's making, whether he realizes it or not.
The Ayatollah is going to continue to try to rebuild the system that he said he wasn't going to do. That's why we ended the 12-day war, because they said they were done trying to build a nuclear weapon, yet they're obviously trying to rebuild it.
Right,
We're not going to let that happen.
If we obliterated it, we being the United States last summer, then why are you worried about it right now? If
Because they're rebuilding it, and you can see them rebuilding it.
But it was
not
obliterated.
enriching. Well, but it doesn't mean you can't rebuild. I mean, people have car accidents and obliterate their bones and their legs, and yet they can still put, metal back in them and walk.
But I think if it was obliterated in June, how is it February, and we're now, as Steve Witkoff put it, a week away from Iran having this?
I don't know. I can't speak for Steve. I haven't got those reports. And
Steve Witkoff's obviously a liar, but the point is we have to bomb Iran every 8 months in perpetuity. Otherwise, they're going to develop a nuclear weapon. I mean, that's the point he's making. And as you can see, doing a really piss-poor job of making what is a moronic point, even if he made it flawlessly.
I've been read in on some of these programs, and so I don't know what Steve was looking at. I don't say he's wrong or right. I just haven't seen those reports. I do know that the president said that they had 10 or 15 days. The president doesn't bluff.
I do know that he went to Epstein's Island after saying that he hadn't ever been alone with him after 2005.
Oh, you're talking about Lutnick, not Witkoff.
Yeah. Oh, Witkoff.
You mixed it up. Yeah, he mixed it up.
I always mix those two up.
Yeah, well, they have similar accents. They're New York guys.
They're New York guys, and they're like completely amoral advertisements for anti-Semitism. So they're very easily interchangeable.
Easily interchangeable. That's right. By the way, didn't Witkoff say they're a week away? I mean, the thing about saying they're a week away from having a nuclear weapon, that is a statement with a short shelf life, because I think he made that statement like 4 days ago. So that means what? They're almost halfway there by now? Yeah. I mean, shouldn't they basically have one? If it were they were a week away?
They're almost halfway to being allowed to dictate the future of their own country.
Yeah, exactly.
Reports. I do know that the president said that they had 10 or 15 days. The president doesn't bluff to stop pushing forward with rebuilding their nuclear sites. And by the way, if it takes us removing the Ayatollah from keeping the nuclear program from moving forward, then that's not off the table, but we would prefer diplomacy. The reason why the president has put so much resources in the region is because he wants options, and Chairman Kaine is providing those options for him.
Okay. Well, Gen X girl tweets back at Caitlin Collins. Well, Caitlin, if you actually did your job, you would learn where Mullen is getting his talking points. And this is really what it comes down to. This is why all these people sound so ridiculous trying to justify this to the American people as if it's our war to fight. This is Israel's war to fight, and they're demanding that we fight it for them, or at least play the lion's share of the role. And that's obvious to any thinking person what's going on. It's obvious, I think, to the average person what's going on. For a country that lived through the Iraq War, and for a country that saw George Bush's favorability rating go from 70% at the beginning of the war to 26% by the time he left office, those are not scars that ever fully heal. And that is why it is perfectly obvious to the average person that this is a giant crock of shit. It's why they're too lazy to even get their shit together. You got Witkoff saying they're a week away. This guy's like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard that. But, just because we obliterated it 8 months ago, that doesn't mean we don't have to go in again. What you're making there is the case for permanent war. It's incoherent. It's incoherent because there is no coherent case for this. This is Israel's war. Everybody knows it. And J.D. Vance was supposedly the anti-war voice in the room, and he comes out yesterday sounding just like Colin Powell in February of 2003. If this was not, we've said this before, but I feel like I should repeat it at times when it becomes even more obvious than ever before. If this MAGA movement wasn't the biggest political scam of our lifetimes, I really don't know what was, because at this point, no, not even close. I mean, not even close, not even close to this level of betrayal, to this reversal. The guy runs against Jeb Bush 10 years ago. He goes viral. His star-making moment in that primary was calling out the Bush family for lying us into Iraq. Well, you tell me why we shouldn't have just elected Jeb Bush. Tell me why we shouldn't have just put Jeb Bush in. Jeb Bush would have done all this shit. I don't think Jeb Bush would have ICE agents shooting people in the snow. So at this point, we may as well have elected Jeb Bush. What the hell is the difference?
Yeah. This is eerily similar to the run-up to the Iraq War, in that Bush did the same exact thing. He said they were negotiating and they had to meet certain conditions, even as he was executing a troop buildup in the region that you clearly would not do if you were not going in. Once you've committed that amount of material resources to the campaign, there's just no way that you turn around and say, all right, let's go home. I mean, frankly, as many people point out, JFK was the last president in charge, right? Like, at that point, you got the military-industrial complex salivating about the amount of money involved. Oh, my God. You're talking about everything from the money for the bombs to the money for the latrines. Really?
Right.
Like, literally, they make a fortune doing a lot of things, even the commissary stuff that the military used to do for itself, that now is another boondoggle for these corporations that lobby Washington to give them these contracts, like Halliburton back in those days. I don't know who's connected like that now. Might still be Halliburton. That's it, man. Once that momentum has gone this far, I don't see any scenario where they don't go ahead and do it. And then, it's World War III. And as we have pointed out, that is when the Zionists are going to find out what they have wrought. Because once World War III breaks out, clearly because of Israel, clearly on the behalf of Israel and at the instigation of Israel, that is when you are going to see a worldwide explosion of backlash against, unfortunately, Jews generally. A lot of people like us, I think, who don't support that are going to get caught up in it. Yeah, man, that anti-Semitic wave that the Israelis have done everything possible to instigate, even as they claim that they're trying to prevent it. It's coming. It's coming. World War III happens because of Israel. Israelis are not going to be safe anywhere in the world. You already have reports of Israelis being physically attacked, which of course we do not support. You already have reports of Israelis being physically attacked around the world, being denied service at businesses around the world. World War III breaks out with Iran. I believe that's the tipping point. That is going to be the point where Israelis are not going to be safe anywhere.
It is. Yeah. I mean, right. Well, in particular, because nobody will be safe anywhere.
Right.
And it's just so disgusting that we're being marched into this by an administration who ran against this. I mean, they did run against this. You can't say they ran on releasing the Epstein Files. They humored the people who wanted them to, and they kind of egged them on a little bit. But this was like,
footsie,
right? They played footsie with them, right? But even Trump was like, yeah, maybe, this. No, they affirmatively said no new wars, especially of this variety. And here we go. It's really, really just contemptible. All right, let's go to some super chats.
Okay. Sphincter Knucklebuster, you guys are the best, making the workday bearable. Thank you, man. Heavy Snack 3985. Without evidence at the State of the Union, Trump says Iran is working on nuclear weapons. Even Bibi brings props like his Daffy Duck bomb chart to the UN. Our government doesn't even put effort into trying to propagandize us. I'll tell you, man, since it's obviously front of mind right now, given the similarities, I thought the Colin Powell propaganda sucked pretty bad. People compared it to Adlai Stevenson during the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was no Adlai Stevenson. It was pretty obvious, if you wanted to pay any kind of attention, that they decided that they were going to pimp out Colin Powell's credibility and torch it forever to get this war that they wanted, and they did. It was very obvious they were grasping at straws there. And really, it was the last time that the United States had the kind of credibility that they could go do that at the UN and get everybody to back their play because of that. They never had that kind of juice with the world community again because of the way they lit Colin Powell on fire with that presentation. They didn't care what happened to him as long as they got their war. Matt from Wisconsin, canceled premium for Jimmy. Enjoyed DD Premium. Well, we're having a 2-for-1 sale this week. Heavy snack. Heavy snack. With Tyler Oliveira's video, will ICE go into Lakewood and round up a bunch of dual citizens abusing social services and deport them to Israel? I bet.
My foreskin, they won't. What happened? Did Russell freeze? I think Russell froze. All right. Let me see. All right. I'll keep going. This entire nation is cooked without revolution. We've had far too many years of examples of the system failing us by working exactly as intended. Mark Thicko. Russell does the best Alex Jones, and Keaton's RFK Jr. is second to none. I would love to see them get together and discuss their conspiracy theories about how their voices became so hoarse. Thank you, Mark Thicko. Appreciate that. Let me see. I'll ask Russell. Froze? Let's see. He responds. All right. What happened here? Sasser78. Keaton, the problem is so many stupid MAGA chuds do believe this warmongering BS. There is no working with them. Love you guys. Justice for Palestine. No, did you guys see the video of what's his name? Of the guy who was on CNN, the viewer of the State of the Union. They were interviewing like people who watched the State of the Union on CNN. And the guy's like, yeah, no, I thought I was really happy. This was like an independent voter, like a swing voter. Yeah, I was really happy to learn about the $18 trillion in investment. That was really great. I was really excited about that. Hold on, he's calling me. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the hotel internet. That's the computer. I'm gonna have to restart it. I did restart before the show.
All right, go ahead. All right. Heavy Snack says, with Tyler Oliveira's video, will ICE go into Lakewood? Oh, sorry, got that one already. Here we go. The Heavy Snack, did we deport Mexicans to Iran? How else could Iran rebuild their nuclear infrastructure in record time? Good one. We will not be deterred. Thank you, George Gunnell. Appreciate that very much. Okay, what else we got over here? Eric Rousseau over on Rumble, enjoying the first installment of The Bride of Charlie. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today, actually. Vienticus, everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so I don't comply. Thank you. Eric Rousseau, so hell is going to lick every inch of our bodies. Do we get a happy ending with that? Yeah, really lovely guy. It's a really lovely person to have as deputy director of the FBI. Vienticus Prime. Another day of all the paid shills telling you who to hate and who to not question in this Epstein-archy fuckheadocracy we live in. I like that. An Epstein-archy. An Epsteinocracy. I like Epsteinocracy. Okay. Vienticus Prime. Hey, Russell. Are you eating curds in whey? I'll ask him when he gets back. In fact, I will leave that one in the queue here so that I ask him when he gets back. He should be back in a minute. Just had to restart his system. Oh, here he is. There we go. There you go. Are you eating curds and whey?
That's dude. You know I'm not a fan of puns.
Yeah.
I'm famously.
I know. I
anti-pun.
saved that one for you. I told Vienticus I would because I wanted to get your reaction. All right. Let's see here. We will go on to the next segment. Do you want me to just do mine while you load in your other stuff? Because you got to load in your stuff.
I mean, you're gonna kind of have to because that's a lot of videos on these.
It's a lot. It's a lot. All right. So, go ahead, start loading in, and I will keep reading a couple more of these here. Get up, King. You always know when Erika Kirk is going to climax. It's 3 seconds after the ice pick comes out from under the pillow. Good Basic Instinct reference. That movie has fallen out of the culture. You don't hear Basic Instinct references anymore. It's kind of one of those time capsule movies because that used to be like a common reference. You know, people used to talk about
boiled rabbit on the stove. Yeah.
Well, that's Fatal Attraction, but Basic Instinct was the Sharon Stone one.
Oh right, yeah. Well,
yeah.
weren't you gonna do a whole like crotch shot thing in our live show? We decided not to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the crotch shot is the famous shot in Basic Instinct. Yeah. All right,
which
Freddie.
Apparently, she was tricked into.
Huh. Interesting.
They told her they weren't going to use it.
Freddie says, as a Locals member, I can't rewatch the State of the Union coverage. Looks like only Rumble Premium members can. Will the film club be the same? No, and you should have the link. The link is in the Locals article, and that link should be operational, so people should be able to watch the replay. And yeah, the film club is going to be the same. People will be able to watch it on replay. They'll be able to watch it on replay because we're working directly with Right Brain, and so there aren't any like special conditions that we have to meet as part of the deal to do it. So if you see on Rumble Premium, the Rumble link is a Rumble Premium link. That goes to Rumble Premium, but the other link should be operational for everybody. That should not be private. I will double check after the show to make sure it hasn't set to private on its own, because sometimes there are settings where it's like switch to private after, but I don't think so because nobody else has complained they're not able to access it. So you may just be clicking the wrong link there, my friend, but it should work. Eric Rousseau, I smile at my mama. Great meal, ma. Would you please pass the fucking potatoes? The ham is fucking A, ma. You don't know how fucking great it is to be home. How you gonna act, huh? Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Appreciate that. Okay, Vienticus Prime says, what was that? JD Vance had his big colon pounded moment. Colon pounded, huh? Got it. Funny. Okay, what is that? Somebody text me here. I get texted this thing. I got this Fitbit now. I got a Fitbit now, not to keep track of my steps, but it has a vibrating alarm, so I could wake myself up really early in the morning without waking the family up because it doesn't make noise. It just shocks you and wakes you the hell up. Okay. All right. We will move right on along. Russ, are you there? I can't tell if you froze again.
Yeah, I paused the VPN because I'm having trouble loading the file in. So I want to see if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah,
so
just try switching.
When it switches over, you get a little.
All right. Well, we're going to move right on along to the next piece here, it looks like. Let me just make sure that I have everything I need because I was planning on switching this between. Yep, I got everything I need. All right, perfect. All right, let's do it. Here we go. All righty, folks. So we're going back to JD Vance here for segment number 2 because that Iran war propaganda he did was just while I'm here, I may as well sell war with Iran. But the reason why he was giving that press conference is because he is now leading the war on fraud. And the war on fraud begins where all wars on fraud begin now, in Minnesota, home of the Somali fraud PSYOP. And, I talked about this. I think I talked about this on the air. I mused about creating a band called Somali Fraud. I think that might be a good project. Maybe we should start an AI punk metal band called Somali Fraud. I already started it. There they are. Somali Fraud, the AI punk metal band of my creation. Not only did I create the image, Somali Fraud, but
did you use AI?
Yeah. Yeah, we actually have a sneak preview of their first hit single. So here's the AI punk metal band Somali Fraud.
Suit and tie, another lie. Watch them smile as the world goes by. Promise heaven, deliver hell. Ringing the same damn broken bell. We won't be silent, we won't obey. It's a Somali fraud today. Somali fraud! Somali fraud!
They're good.
Yeah, that kicks ass, man.
Yeah, that's the first session. That's the first session of the new
Let's
AI
invite
punk
them
metal
on.
sensation, Somali Fraud.
Somali fraud!
We have to clip them for the sound drop.
Yeah.
So that's our new creative endeavor is the AI punk metal band Somali Fraud. Thought it has a great name for a band. Somali Fraud, kind of like the Black Flag of the 2020s.
That should be the house band for your channel.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the house band for the channel. So Vance says administration is pausing some Medicaid funding to Minnesota because of fraud concerns. All right, folks, that was a funny part of the segment. Now we're going to get to the scary part of the segment. Vice President J.D. Vance announced Wednesday that the Trump administration would temporarily halt some Medicaid funding to the state of Minnesota over fraud concerns as part of what he described as an aggressive crackdown on misuse of public funds. Vance, who made the announcement with Dr. Mehmet Oz, the administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, said the administration was taking the action in order to ensure that the state of Minnesota takes its obligations seriously to be good stewards of the American people's tax money. So yes, here is J.D. Vance announcing a suspension of Medicaid funding in order to freeze out this fraud.
Announcing today that we have decided to temporarily halt certain amounts of Medicaid funding that are going to the state of Minnesota in order to ensure that the state of Minnesota takes its obligations seriously to be good stewards of the American people's tax money. Now, what is this going to mean? What this means is that, first of all, the providers on the ground in Minnesota have actually already been paid. The state has paid those providers the money. What we're doing is we are stopping the federal payments that will go to the state government until the state government takes its obligations seriously to stop the fraud that's being perpetrated against the American tax.
Okay. So they're saying the providers already have the money, but we're going to deny reimbursement to the state, which I suppose means that once this money runs out, they're not going to get any more unless they get to the bottom of this fraud. All right. Oz, who referred to people committing fraud as self-serving scoundrels, said the federal government would hold off on paying $259.5 million to Minnesota in funding for Medicaid, the health care safety net for low-income Americans. This is not a problem with the people of Minnesota. It's a problem with the leadership of Minnesota and other states who do not take Medicaid preservation seriously, Oz said. So here is Dr. Oz describing some of these Medicaid fraud schemes as rationale for this new action that they're taking.
Horrible stories. The vice president started highlighting autism. Let's get into the details of what's really going on in Minnesota. These are real cases from our group at CMS. These are adjudicated numbers. There's a fraud scheme in Minnesota where criminals, soon to be criminals, pay moms $1,000 roughly in order to enroll their children as being autistic, falsely, dishonestly claiming their children are autistic. They then bill Medicaid, this has already happened, millions of dollars for services that were never rendered, never delivered by a qualified staff member. These schemes disproportionately involve immigrant communities. They're insulated, they're able to organize efforts, and sometimes they don't understand what's going on. And it ultimately diverts resources away from kids who truly have autism. Because if every kid in the neighborhood has autism, then nobody has autism in terms of how you can manage them.
Really? What do you mean in terms of how you can manage them? If every kid has autism, that means no kid has autism? So if every kid has measles, does that mean we treat it like no kid has measles because everybody has measles? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't even make sense. What do you mean? We can't treat people. If everyone has autism, that means we can't treat autism? What? The whole thing he said there was completely fakakta. So, okay, so what he's alleging is that there's a scheme where parents are being basically bribed to misdiagnose their children as autistic so that they can swindle Medicaid out of money. Okay, all right. We'll take you at your word for that for argument's sake. Now let's see what they're going to do about it.
There was one behavioral, and by the way, these kids, they carry that diagnosis of autism the rest of their lives. Their mom made a bad decision, the kid pays the price for the rest of their life. There's one behavioral health organization, Mr. Vice President, in Minnesota. They received $11.5 million in Medicaid payments, but the top biller submitted 450 days where they claimed they were working more than 24 hours a day. I mean, even in the White House, that's tough. It's hard to work more than 24 hours a day. How it didn't get picked up is shocking to us at CMS. There are other red flags in Minnesota, including hundreds of beneficiaries receiving treatment linked to one location, which was impossible physically to be true. We had 8 beneficiaries in one of these substance use disorder centers, 8 who were already dead, but the center was still billing us. Not only did they let the person pass, they kept billing for it. That's the level of average we're talking about. So CMS...
And that happened 8 times, America. 8 times. There were 8 instances of dead people getting Medicaid money. Do you see?
In a country of, what is it, 365 million?
Yeah, 365 million. Right. So it's not the war in Iran that's going to bankrupt us. It's these 8 people who, through some sort of bureaucratic error, got money they shouldn't have gotten.
Is done paying and chasing. We don't think jail sentences are the right way out. These criminals flee the country. Many are foreign nationals. Instead, we're launching the largest action against fraud that we've ever taken.
Whoa! Wait a minute. Hold on. What was that? Jail sentences are not going to work. Why?
Let the person pass, they kept billing for it. That's the level of average we're talking about. So CMS is done paying and chasing. We don't think jail sentences are the right way out. These criminals flee the country. Many are foreign nationals. Instead, we're launching the largest action against fraud that we've ever taken.
Okay, hold on. Wait. So you just said you got people who you know, according to you, I'm taking your word for it just for argument's sake here. I don't know if that's the wisest thing to do, but we're going to do that for argument's sake. You're saying you got people who are fraudulently, back it up, people bribing parents to fraudulently misdiagnose their kids as autistic so that they can scam Medicaid out of money. You're saying that's happening. You're saying you know there are instances where that's happening. But then you're saying that jail sentences aren't a solution because they're immigrants who will just flee the country if we prosecute them. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to hold the entire state's Medicaid program hostage to bend to the political will of the Trump administration. The crimes you're alleging are pretty serious and pretty easily prosecutable, right? It's not, somebody, sort of mistakenly filled out a form by accident or whatever. No, you're alleging pretty blatant and intentional fraud. And then in the next breath, you're saying, well, we're not going to prosecute individual fraudsters for fraud because they'll just flee the country. So what instead we're going to do is we're just going to freeze out the entire Medicaid program. Yeah, almost like this is not a war on fraud. This is a war on poor people. Just like the war on immigrants is actually a war on the American people, right? You see how this war on fraud is? If there's a war on fraud and you have people who you've identified as criminals in what are assumedly easily prosecutable cases, then what do you mean jail sentences won't work? Why not? This administration can't wait to throw people in jail. All they do is threaten to throw people in jail. And he's saying, well, I mean, look, we can't prosecute these cases because they'll just leave. So instead, we're just going to punish everybody. We're just going to freeze Medicaid funding for everybody. Unbelievable, but not so unbelievable given the track record that these people have. Oz said the administration was simultaneously notifying Minnesota's Democratic governor, Tim Walz, as he was making the announcement publicly. We will give them the money, but we're going to hold it and only release it after they propose and act on a comprehensive corrective action plan to solve the problem, Oz said. He said Walz would have 60 days to respond and advise healthcare providers and Medicaid beneficiaries who were concerned to contact Walz's office. Okay, so I guess you have 60 days before you lose your Medicaid benefits because somebody is bribing parents to misdiagnose their kids as autistic. Wow. Yeah, that doesn't seem like collective punishment at all. unless that's the point. Waltz, former Vice President Kamala Harris's 2024 running mate, said in a pair of social media posts that the administration's move had nothing to do with fraud. Well, obviously it has nothing to do with fraud. So Waltz says this has nothing to do with fraud. The agents Trump allegedly sent to investigate fraud are shooting protesters and arresting children. His DOJ is gutting the U.S. Attorney's Office and crippling their ability to prosecute fraud. And every week, Trump pardons another fraudster. This is a campaign of retribution. Trump is weaponizing the entirety of the federal government to punish blue states like Minnesota. These cuts will be devastating for veterans, families with young kids, folks with disabilities, and working people across our state. But here goes Dr. Oz. Again, this is another clip from that same press conference saying, we're announcing a 6-month national, so this is not just Minnesota, a national moratorium blocking all new enrollments for durable medical equipment, prosthesis, orthotics, supplies across the board.
6-month national moratorium, a national moratorium blocking all new enrollments for durable medical equipment, prosthesis, orthotics, supplies across the board. These crimes are becoming a major source of fraudulent activity. And I'll just mention, Mr. Vice President, South Florida. Do you ever go to McDonald's?
Yeah. Too much.
We had rehearsed this.
Hmm.
So there are
He goes to McDonald's. He's just like me.
Yeah.
He's just like me. I'm a fat slob, and so is he.
Exactly. Now listen to this idiocy here.
We had rehearsed this. So there are twice as many durable medical equipment suppliers in South Florida than McDonald's.
Wow.
And that's not because Secretary Kennedy.
Wow. You mean the most famous retirement destination in America has a lot of medical device locations? Really? That's crazy. That's really shocking. That's really amazing that you would pick South Florida of all places as an example to single out. Look at how many of these locations there are. That could only mean there must be widespread fraud. Oh, you mean South Florida has a lot of medical facilities set up for services that old people tend to need. Wow. Something's fishy there.
Who knew?
Something's fishy there. They better send Nick Shirley down there to figure out what the hell's going on with all these old people needing medical care.
In South Florida than McDonald's.
Wow.
And that's not because Secretary Kennedy is closing down McDonald's. That's because the amount of fraud is so massive that it's easier to open one of these suppliers than open a bank account, which is why we're working with Secretary Bessent.
Now, how the hell do you know that? Like, what the hell is that based on? What is that? Like, what idiocy is this that they're trying to sell you here?
Part of the reason for this moratorium is it gives us time to be able to deal with these issues that have become massive. And if we just shut down South Florida, they'd all flee to California and to Texas.
How can they flee to Florida and Texas? They only got one leg. That's why they need the prosthesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna flee.
And, we have also found that they sell 10 times more Viagra in this part of the country than anywhere else. Now, at first, we thought this had to do with the location of Jeffrey Epstein's operations, but there was no fall off after the death of Mr. Epstein.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Mar-a-Lago is still there. That could have something to do with it, but we think it's fraud. We think it's fraud, not the preponderance of elderly people highly concentrated in that one location. This is just really, man, like they can't stop just declaring war on America.
Yeah, no.
It's just one thing after another.
Yeah, one thing after another. And here he says we can't just do this moratorium in South Florida since they'll flee to other states where they can scam Medicaid out of prosthetic legs.
Massive. And if we just shut down South Florida, they'd all flee to California and to Texas.
Yeah.
So we have to shut the whole country down.
Yeah.
We shouldn't arrest anybody because they'll just move.
Is going to allow us to get on top of what we believe is billions of dollars of DME frauds. We've already stopped $1.5 billion of billing, but we need more time to shut down these bad guys. But it's going to be effective, and it's not going to touch the people who need these services. We have designed.
What do you mean it's not going to touch the people who need these services? This isn't like the other thing. So the Vance, the other plan with Minnesota, they're giving Minnesota time to bend the knee because they're saying they've already got this money. We're just not reimbursing them. So they have until the money they have runs out, basically. This is not that. They're saying we're announcing a 6-month moratorium on all this shit. Common durable medical equipment examples.
Oh, yeah. No, this is a great idea.
Mobility equipment, wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, hospital beds, patient lifts, mobility scooters, crutches. They want you to think, America, this is how stupid they think you are. They want you to think that senior citizens getting crutches through some sort of Medicare fraud scheme is what's bankrupting the country. Like, they really think you're an absolute moron. And in tens of millions of cases, they're right, because you're going to have broken, peasant-brained imbeciles simp for this. Sure as I'm sitting here. Respiratory equipment. Oxygen concentrators, oxygen tanks. So we're not going to read all this. The list goes on and on and on. Blood glucose monitors, bedside commodes, shower chairs. Wow, that's a real problem. Those shower chairs are bankrupting this country. Feeding pumps.
Well, you know, really like shower chairs.
Who's that?
Somalis.
Yeah, Somalis. They love their flower chairs. It's fine though. I'm sure these aren't important, and people can go 6 months without them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. Now it gets even better. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said in a statement that his team has secured over 300 Medicaid fraud convictions since he took office in 2019. All right, so now we're back to Minnesota. And he noted that he called on the legislature earlier Wednesday to give him more staff and new legal tools to combat Medicaid fraud. So they've gotten 300 convictions for Medicaid fraud in the past 6 years. Courts have repeatedly found that their pattern of cutting first and asking questions later is illegal. And if the federal government is unlawfully withholding money meant for the 1.2 million low-income Minnesotans on Medicaid, we will see them in court, Ellison said. So what Keith Ellison is saying is we've already been prosecuting this Medicaid fraud. And what Dr. Oz is saying is that there's really no point in prosecuting this Medicaid fraud because it's mostly immigrants committing the Medicaid fraud who, if faced with prosecution, will flee to Somalia, which has been bombed more than any other year in the past 20 years. It's been bombed consistently for the past 20 years. The longest continually operating war on terror military campaign has been in Somalia. They're going to go back to Somalia to avoid standing trial for Medicaid fraud here. And so really the only way we can fix this problem is to choke out the Medicaid of 1.2 million people, the overwhelming majority of whom have committed no fraud whatsoever. Again, you just have to be the biggest dupe on earth to take any of this seriously. It's just amazing. The just overt hostility to poor and working people is just unbelievable. And they think that you are going to buy this. They think you're going to be like, yeah, no, there's so much fraud in the system. Sometimes you just have to take a one-size-fits-all approach and root it out and deal with it later. Pretty incredible. So that's the war on fraud. The war on fraud, by the way, the only war where they seem not to be prosecuting fraudsters, but rather punishing the entire population for the so-called fraud of a few.
Yeah, it makes you nostalgic for the days of the Reagan administration trying to define ketchup as a vegetable for school lunches.
Yeah.
Boy, what amateurs they were. They just didn't hate the American people quite enough.
Yeah.
But really, it's that we weren't far enough down the road from the New Deal. We just were not far enough along to a place where the government is this openly hostile to America. This is a government that's at war with the American people, particularly the poorest parts of America, which is an expanding section of the population because of creeping towards policies like this. The Trump administration is the logical endpoint of Reaganism. Like, this is what it has all been leading up to. Like, yeah, the Reagan administration really did that in order to not have to provide vegetables for kids' school lunches. The family party, right? The family people. Oh, we care about kids and families, right? That's what they were doing. It became a huge story at the time. This is the logical endpoint. Like, the Reagan administration, if they in their wildest dreams thought they could do this, they would have done this.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. This is just the institutions of the country just not been degraded enough to elect someone like Donald Trump in the first place. Like fucking Reagan looks like Marcus Aurelius next to this guy. So it's a dysfunctional, degraded America that would even have produced a president like this. Is, you know, something out of a dystopian satire from the 70s. If you had written this, it would have played as a satire. Now we have it. We have a vulgar billionaire game show host, very, very famous for ripping off contractors and going bankrupt with everything he ever tried to do, in spite of all that daddy money propping him up and getting him started. And that's your president, man. But as soon as Trump came in, and he's, you know, they're talking about cuts and DOJ and all of it, it's been the running theme. They have always wanted to claw back every last penny that Americans got out of New Deal reforms, out of Great Society reforms. And they've gradually been doing it since Reagan. Since Reagan, they've gradually been clawing that money back. They know they can't straight out say, we're taking your Social Security, we're taking your Medicaid, we're taking your Medicare. They can't say that. They can't. Waste, fraud, and abuse. We're only talking about going after waste, fraud, and abuse. It was always clear that that's what they were going to use to destroy these systems without saying their objective is to destroy these systems. So you saw it with the Somali fraud. This is no surprise. Like, what was the purpose of that? What was the point of that? The point of that was to get to this.
Of course.
They're trying to find a pretext to destroy whatever's left of the social safety net. The idea of a bunch of people fighting over a pot of money for health care, that is, you know, the dystopian Thunderdome that is America. You see anybody defrauding the public school system? No,
right?
Because it's free. It's free. There's none of this.
Right.
There's none of this bull. There's no money and reimbursement. There's none of that. It's just universal. Do you hear about massive fraud in any other system? In any other system where they have universal health care? Do you hear about massive fraud?
Right.
Of the because it's like public school. It's free. You just don't even have this bizarre network of
there's no money to suck out of
reimbursements, and
anybody. Right.
There's no money to suck out of anybody. This is all to distract you from the fact that you don't have health care. It's all to distract you and to convince you that the reason your health care sucks is 8 fraudsters. That's why. That's why. And you know what? And as you say, as soon as I heard the speech, I can already see the Eric Doherty, Gunther Eagleman tweets as I'm listening to the speech, and the mostly bots, but some unfortunate, broken-brained, peasant-minded real people who go, yeah, I don't want my money going to that. Good thing is what I voted for. You fucking motherfucker. You'll get sick one day.
Yeah.
You'll get sick one day. And by the time you need this, it's not going to be there, man. What? You think that can't happen to you? You think you can't get a bad call from the doctor? That can't happen to you? You think you can't be unable to work? You think that can't happen to you? You can't have an accident in your car where you can't work anymore? What do you? Who's going to take care of you when all of this is gone? It's very sad. It's very sad. And you look at all this, and you know, I mean, increasingly, I felt this way for a long time. I think we both have. But I look at this. They will take as much from you as you let them. It's that movie. I think it's Norwegian. I always forget. I got to look that up. Speak No Evil, where they do these horrible things to this family. This couple does these horrible things to this family. At the end, they say, "Why did you do this to me?" It's because you let us. Because there are a lot of junctures in that movie where if they had not been, trying to maintain social propriety with these people, they could have gotten away. Right? It didn't have to go that way. That's America, man. That's America. Like, why did you do this to me? Because you let them. You let them. You still for I think a shrinking window as technology comes online that makes humans obsolete. You have the power. They still need you. They still need you as consumers. They still need you as workers. And that is why they spend so much time and money on propaganda. They spend so much time you got people like I quote tweeted Elon today. He put out something about workers and the whole agenda of oligarchs is to convince working people that the opinions of decadent rich people are smart opinions. Those are the smart opinions to have. And that is why you have a country full of people who could not name the capital of their state, who you could wake up in the middle of the night with a flashlight and they could recite to you, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
They couldn't even tell you what socialism is, but they could tell you that line. They could tell you that line. They know that line by rote. That is propaganda. Because the only way you can maintain a system where so clearly designed to just absolutely eviscerate and immiserate most of the population, the only way you can maintain something like that is you got to break people's brains. You got to break their brains all day, all night. That's what the corporate media does, and now that's what the social media does, much more effectively than any tool of propaganda ever has before.
Yeah, and that's why you have to depeasantise your mind. That's what the revolution of consciousness is. It's the depeasantizing of your mind. Luckily, the revolution of consciousness has arrived. 1, 2.
Hey, it's a Somali fraud today. Somali fraud. Somali fraud.
That's the new chart-topping.
I like these guys.
The new chart-topping AI sensation, Somali fraud.
I think we could go somewhere with this. Yeah.
Coming soon to an app near you. All right, let's take some super chats and move on. Yeah, that was like the first prompt. Like I just thought to do that.
So how did you do that?
What did you use? I used Gemini to do it because Gemini just had a music making thing come online. So I just said, make me a punk metal song called Somali Fraud.
and hang on, did you have to do the image separately?
I did the image separately, yeah. And then I, with my video editing, I put the sound
use for the image.
That was an AI image too.
Yeah, but what'd you use? Gemini?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
If I used Grok, they wouldn't get it. They'd be like, "What do you mean? Why are you making fun of? Why do you not believe this is a serious issue? Oh, you don't care about fraud." That's what Grok would have told me. Oh, you don't care about fraud. This is why
fraud is a serious issue.
Yeah, this is why we covered the Nick Shirley psyop, obvious psyop that it was, as thoroughly as we did. And I don't know if we ever took a ratio on it. We may have, but when we take a ratio on a video like that, we are incentivized to do it again because that means we didn't communicate our point strongly enough. And so, but this is why we took the position on that we did. It was obviously a setup for this. Obviously a setup. It was a setup for the ICE thing, and it's a setup for this. Of course.
Yep.
All right.
Alan Lee, I got to bring this a little closer. Alan Lee, $10 super sticker. Thank you. Perfect to Floro. They ran on just fully lie as a campaign strategy. Yeah, they all do, but this is definitely a new level. Sean Hurl, free PS from Illinois. I love you, commie boys. Would you consider yourself a commie, Keaton? Are you a commie?
I mean, I've never been like an anti-communist. I've always considered myself like a casual Marxist. No, like I said, I think I'm a social anarchist now.
Yeah.
Voluntary collective efforts to eliminate involuntary hierarchies, political hierarchies and economic hierarchies, organized collectively to preserve prosperity and liberty, and to prevent them from being intruded upon by economic hierarchies like capitalism or political hierarchies like ICE. That's what I think. Everybody do what they can to do that, but ultimately, just leave each other alone. Leave each other alone. If being left alone is not core to the ideology, then I can't sign up.
For Keaton, I can't get behind, make good neighbors.
I can't get behind compulsory service for anything. No, if I don't have the liberty to be left the fuck alone, then I'm not joining. So that's why I think social anarchism kind of makes sense. It's like, hey, we'll
Fair
change the
enough.
world for the better if we feel like it. If we don't, we won't.
Maybe we'll go out for a nosh.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's it. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me. Don't force me to do. Don't involve me with whatever you have plans. Don't involve me. No.
Reiterating Jimmy Dore's question to Keaton to Russ: do the genocide and Epstein files justify anti-Semitism? Did he ask you that?
Yeah. I didn't. I mean, so yeah. Well, first
did you say absolutely? I hate those kike bastards.
I said yes in the sense that, and then I clarified. I said I don't condone bigotry of any kind, but at the same time, I don't fault people for being confused about the difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism when the message from Zionist organizations is that you can't be an anti-Zionist without being an anti-Semitic.
Well,
I don't think it's their fault that they're anti-Semitic. I don't condone. I'm not pro anti-Semitism. You can't blame the customer. You got to blame the purveyor of the bullshit.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got this question today. All right, so there's there's a woman. I knew her as a teenager back in Flushing. This is one of the interesting things about Facebook. People who totally would have dropped off your radar pre-social media, they're kind of there in the background, like you see them get married and have kids, even if like you haven't talked to them personally in decades. So she's Jewish, and she has like a whole mess of daughters. I think like 5 fucking daughters or something. And she posted something. And I never really saw her post about Israel. She went to like some Chabad event, and she showed a picture of like a 24-year-old guy, according to her text, giving a presentation. And she says, 24 years old, only 2 years older than my oldest, and serving in the IDF. Much respect. And I look at that and I say, you know what, man? This is what makes it very hard for people like us or Katie or Max to convince people that not all Jews support this, because most of them do. That's just a fucking fact. Like, I gotta say, man, I don't think I know any Jews that I did not meet through politics who are not pro-Zionist. I don't think I know any. Like, any Jews from my past that I knew through theater or college or from growing up, I don't think I know any that have a pro-Palestine position. So, yeah, I mean, the confusion is not really confusion, man. I mean, based on the last numbers I've seen, 80% support that shit. Now, yeah, it's because they're completely brainwashed. I mean, completely brainwashed. As brainwashed as any kid raised in Scientology is brainwashed. That is how brainwashed Jews are about Israel. And I experienced the attempt to brainwash me. It didn't take, I think, because I grew up with Italians. I always had like a counter narrative. I had an outsider's perspective on it. But yeah, man, I mean, I guess if I had grown up in that Jew bubble, maybe it would have taken. I'm kind of naturally rebellious, maybe not. But I know why they're like that, because they tried to do it to me. Like, it's a cult. It's a cult. Like the way that Judaism has evolved post World War II, it's a cult. And most American Jews, most Jews worldwide, are in the cult. Very few are not in the cult. Some, yeah, man. I mean, Rabbi Weiss, we interviewed him out in Chicago. Like, you have some very religious Jews who actually say it's against the religion. But the Zionists really won the battle for defining what Judaism is, not only for the public, but for most Jews, man. And they're just, it creates a lot of anti-Semitism. And, as Keaton said, I'm not going to say, well, that justifies anti-Semitism. But yeah, I agree with Keaton, man. You can't blame people for being confused, especially when the majority of Jews you're going to meet support a genocide. Right, and will tell you that it's not happening. They won't tell you they support a genocide. They'll say it's a fake genocide. They're eating arepas in the middle of Gaza. This is what they'll tell. I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding. I've gotten that. Sayre, critical thinking has become a lost art. In many ways, yeah. To not just go full black pill. In some ways, the fact that you do have these online podcasts and discussions, in some ways, it's opened up the world of debate and conversation to more people than ever engaged in that before. Joe Rogan has really turned into a fillator of oligarchs. But back in the day, I found it very hopeful that this schmuck talking for 3 hours had an audience and that people were interested in listening to something like that. Hollow Victories. Just became a member. Should I email my shirt size? By the way, Heritage Foundation and AIPAC are fighting with each other. I think Tucker and Candace are Heritage, Benny Shapiro and others, AIPAC. Yeah, well, that broke out like a couple months ago, right? Because the director of Heritage put out a statement or something.
Yeah, that was
Tucker.
a squabble a while
He
back.
refused to disown Tucker.
Yeah. And yes, if you are signed up at the t-shirt tier, just email us over your shirt size and your mailing address so we know where to send it to. Thank you for signing up.
Mark P. Thickout. Historians in the future will wonder how we could go downhill from idiocracy.
Yeah.
Right? Bring on President Camacho. Couldn't be worse. Oven the King. J.D. Vance and this old dude are such a bundle of sticks.
That's right.
Yeah. I understand Oz got really hot under the collar about the lack of crudité orders in Minnesota. Julix, Dr. Jack Cruz says there is high incidence of autism in Somali Minnesotans because they are built for more sunlight and haven't physiologically adopted to Minnesota. Who is that? Who is that?
Sounds
I've
like
never heard of this.
A doctor explanation.
Sounds like Dr. Mengele's nephew says,
yeah,
true Texan. In my opinion, they come across as nutters. Which ones? Heavy Snack. Next, ICE will go door to door to do autism checks on children and confiscate all of the Tylenol. MAGA will say, well, if you have nothing to hide,
right,
what's left of it? Okay.
All right. Awesome. Sounds great. We'll take some Rumble rants over here. What do we got over here? Trump 2016. I love WikiLeaks. Trump 2017. I don't know anything about WikiLeaks. That's right. And then they arrested Assange. Gina and Heidi. I think Trump is hoping Iran obliterates Israel so Jared can rebuild it. Vianticus Prime. I also still remember how Trump said in 2016 how much he loved billionaires and wanted his cabinet full of billionaires. MAGA psyop themselves. They did. To a large extent, for sure. Morty Duke, I was 14 when the U.S. left Vietnam, and they've basically been at peace for 50 years. Interesting. I remember the first casualty of war is truth. Thanks for what you do. Thank you, Morty Duke. Appreciate that very much. Virtuoso says, I haven't told you this before, but I have an experienced medium, and it's come to my discovery that Wilt Chamberlain is in the hotel room with Russ, fucking with his internet signal. Ah, good one. Gita and Heidi, Charlie killed himself, and Erika is really a Jewish dude. Nocturnal Human says, Trump says, if you got your legs amputated in a car crash, fuck you. This is what MAGA means. Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's see here. Freddie X, I'm not surprised by your low IQ comments, Keaton. If we send these Medicaid fraudsters to jail, you'll just complain they're making the warden send faxes and petting puppies in there. Shameful. All right. Nocturnal Human, Trump started the war on amputees before the war in Iran. Cool Blue, Trump presidency, like the Biden presidency, is garbage. Yep, garbage. Mark Pugliese, I was teaching middle school in Hagerstown, Maryland, when Reagan made ketchup a vegetable. Oh, that must have been a fun day in middle school then.
Yeah.
Get those peas off the plate, right? All right. Hey, folks.
Peas make you gassy anyway.
While we're paused here, I just wanted to do a little plug over on my channel, The Shuffle. If you want some escapist fun, I'm premiering a fun little thing that I did this morning, going over the Hall of Fame nominations. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations came out. So I made my votes public. I just decided which ones should go, which ones should not. YouTube.com/@ShufflePod premiere. coming on at 3:45. So it should be right after this show. So hop on over there, subscribe to the channel, and have a nice chat in the live chat for a little escapist fun after the dystopian news. YouTube.com/@ShufflePod. Head on over and subscribe and join the chat for the premiere. It's only about 20 minutes. Nice little cool down session. Nice little cool down session from the news today. All right. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, let's rock and roll. So
you might want to switch your VPN. I don't know. You're getting fuzzy again.
Am I?
Yeah, you've been getting really fuzzy. So you may want to toggle it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I could pause it.
Yeah.
All right.
See what
so
happens.
there's going to be a little wheel for a second.
All right. He's going to have a little wheel. And then he's hopefully going to come back bigger than ever before. It's going to be the golden age of Russ's internet. I don't know why is it that over there.
Okay, so now it changed over.
All right, so now you're all right, good. All right, go ahead.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, like the VPN, because it's bouncing the signal around the world, can cause a lag.
All right. So let's go while we got some signal here.
Okie doke. So we had a State of the Union the other night, and one part of it is getting a lot of attention. It's the part where Donald Trump shouted out Erika Kirk, name-checked Charlie Kirk. Now, we're going to do two parts about this story. So first, let's just see the unedited moment here.
This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man. So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erika, is with us tonight. Erika, please stand.
He's dancing, his head popping back and forth.
Thank you, Erika. Been through a lot. In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind.
If I could just pause there for a second. So how long was that clip? What is that? Like a minute and 20 seconds. Okay, so he spends a minute and 20 seconds on Charlie Kirk. He must have spent like 6, 7, or 8 minutes on the fucking stupid hockey team. Like the whole beginning of the speech was the hockey team. You give the hockey team 7 minutes. You give Charlie Kirk a minute and a minute with the applause breaks. It was a minute.
Yeah. So Donald Trump wants to let you know that he is against political violence. Donald Trump wants you to know that we should never advocate for or support political violence.
Old days, you know? You know what I hate? There's a guy totally disruptive, throwing punches. We're not allowed to punch back anymore. I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. That's true. Honestly, I hate to see that. Here's a guy throwing punches, nasty as hell, screaming and everything else when we're talking. And he's walking out, and we're not allowed, you know, the guards are very gentle with him. He's walking out like big high fives, smiling, laughing. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. The security guys, we have wonderful security guys. They said, Mr. Trump, there may be somebody with tomatoes in the audience. So if you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. Okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees. I promise. I promise. So this morning, they saw that they fought back against law. See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them because it's the only language they understand.
All right. So segment's really about Erika Kirk, but pretty amazing for Donald Trump, who's probably done more than any other modern politician to normalize political violence, to advocate for political violence, to get up there and talk about his opposition to political violence. He kind of, I mean, it was part of his whole brand the first time he ran, that he was advocating for political violence against protesters. But Erika Kirk's reaction here is, you're not going to believe this when I tell you, creepy and off-putting. If you take a look at her behavior, as is pretty typical, she does not behave as what most of us would interpret as normal human emotional reactions. All of it kind of plays like bad acting. So it was actually RT that zoomed in on this. Erika Kirk's State of the Union demeanor goes viral. Commentators on social media argued Charlie Kirk's widow was acting weird, fake, and performative at the State of the Union. All right, so they have some music under this. We took it out because it's probably copyrighted. Oh, what? Really? I took it out before I had to load everything back in.
Before Wilt Chamberlain sabotaged your internet.
Before Wilt, he's never gonna forgive me. Yeah, so the whole thing plays more like somebody trying to convey emotion than someone who has emotion. She's just kind of sitting there, and the name gets called. She immediately kind of goes into character, knowing that the cameras are on her. Now, of course, this is coming up at a moment that Candace is releasing her multi-part series, which we'll have more on in the B part of this. Milo, it took Candace Owens announcing a multi-part series to get this evil bitch to dress properly for the first time in her fucking life. Yes, honey, that is how you dress when somebody dies. He comes up in the next one too. So we haven't really had time to cover this. There's been, can you take that down? There have been a lot of other stories that have kind of taken precedence, but there's been a lot of reporting on Erika Kirk's past. We did do some of it about the contradictions between her town hall and the reality. And it's just very clear that she constantly lies about her past. And a lot of things have been coming up that make you go, this is Jake G TV. This photo comes from Erika Kirk's Instagram. It was taken in August 2012 in Constanta, Romania, while she was promoting the charity Romanian Angels, located near a U.S. military base and run by U.S. Colonel Otto Buscher. A whistleblower uncovered the charity as a front for trafficking underage girls, but authorities did not investigate. So it's kind of a weird place for her to have been. And as Stu Peters here points out, she's 17 at the time that she forms this charity. A little strange. So this is Stu Peters. Who is Erika Kirk? Both parents are defense contractors. Started a Romanian orphanage as a teenager. Reality TV star, pageant winner procured by Trump. None of this is normal.
And Tyler Boyer isn't the only one that's close to orphanages in Eastern Europe around TPUSA. Erika Kirk herself is another one. She's been tied to orphanages in Eastern Europe, specifically in Romania, through a program called Romanian Angels, since she was a teenager. When she was 17 years old, she founded Romanian Angels as a nonprofit. So in effect, since Erika's childhood, She's been running orphanages in Eastern Europe, a child trafficking hotbed. Is that normal activity for a 17-year-old girl to be involved with? Of course it's not. But when your father is a high-ranking member of the military-industrial complex linked to Israel's Iron Dome and American arms sales to the pariah state, and when your mother is geofencing and data mining, and she's a propagandist who's tied directly to the Israeli Foreign Affairs Ministry, maybe hanging around orphanages really isn't all that unusual.
Okay. So it's kind of a summary of a lot of what's been reported over the last couple of months. And then there's this. Erika Kirk sent sexually explicit text to a 15-year-old girl urging her without her parents' consent to meet up with a man to have photos taken of her. She was a casting director at one point. Candace contacted the young woman, who is now 27 years old, and she confirms these facts. Erika was working at that time for an organization that was convicted of child sexual abuse. So these are some of the actual texts between her and this 15-year-old. You have the most stunning features. That's Erika. Best compliment ever. Your eyes, your lips, your skin, you're absolutely beautiful. And the girl responds, you're making me cry. Let me call you. Hold on, sweetheart. Give me a sex. Wow. And the girl laughs. Sex too, but not from you. LOL. Holy shit. You always make me laugh. I don't bat for the other team just yet. So if you're a grown-ass adult, which you probably are if you're watching this show, would you text like this to a 14-year-old girl? Like, would you find that appropriate? Would you ever text something like that as a grown-ass person to a 14-year-old? So
yeah, no,
Candace,
not good. Believe me, not
good. And then send her to a photo shoot with a grown-ass man in her underwear, according to the reporting. Candace Owens, wild update in the Erika Kirk Jillian story. Someone sent me a tip that upon further research, they discovered that at the time of her textual relationship with Erika, Jillian lived in a trailer park within a neighborhood that is known for the highest incidence of child sex trafficking. I forwarded the information to Jillian, and she confirmed it is true. So to recap, after striking up a bizarre friendship with a 15-year-old girl who lives in a trailer park without a father, a then 25-year-old Erika proceeds to love bomb Jillian by telling her how beautiful she is. She then asked Jillian for her address to send her chocolate-covered strawberries, meaning Erika was plenty aware of where Jillian lived. Erika knew she was not living with a father in the home, just like Erika knew she was a minor, and yet, according to Jillian, this did not stop Erika from arranging for her to get photographs taken without ever having communicated with her mother. Yeah, none of this lines up with the virginal Christian who doesn't date anybody image that she has tried to convey, as many other things don't line up with that. So this was a meme in response to the State of the Union. Erika Kirk, when her husband is murdered, very happy. And on the right, Demon Erika, when people try to solve her husband's murder. Now, we're not going to read this whole thing. Candace does in her part 1 of her series on Erika Kirk. We'll read part of it. This went viral very deservedly. This is Elizabeth Lane, kind of relatable for us. She came out of theater and film and acting, and now she's an investigative journalist. She summed up people's feelings about this probably better than anyone else out there, which is why I caught Candace's eye. I'm going to be blunt. I've reached the point where I find Erika Kirk deeply disturbing, not because of rumors or gossip, but because of consistent, observable patterns of behavior. To be clear, everything I say in this post is my opinion. I'm not claiming this is a fact. I'm saying this is what I think Erika Kirk is. I come from the world of acting and modeling. I've spent years around social climbers, opportunists, image curators, and people who treat relationships as ladders. That is why I left that world. Most of these people are shallow and harmless. A few are dangerous. Erika falls into the latter category, not because she is just ambitious, but because of how calculated and performative her ambition appears to be. I believe she may be a psychopath. What stands out immediately is the reaction she provokes in people, which is very common with psychopaths. Across the board, including from people who support her publicly, the private reaction is the same. I can't watch her. Not criticism, just physical discomfort. People turn off interviews because the presentation feels artificial to the point of being unbearable. Let me explain. That kind of response does not happen accidentally, and it does not happen often. Research in psychology shows that humans are highly sensitive to emotional incongruence, mismatches between facial expression, tone, and content. When affect appears simulated rather than genuine, the brain registers it as a threat signal. This activates discomfort and avoidance, even if the person cannot consciously explain why. So many of us felt this way, but we could not explain why we could not watch her. Studies on psychopathy, particularly those building on the work of psychologists like Robert Hare, describe traits such as rehearsed emotional display and shallow affect. These traits can create what observers experience as an uncanny interpersonal dynamic. The discomfort arises and people want to shut it off because most people rarely encounter extreme affective mimicry in everyday life. So the brain struggles to categorize what it is detecting. Very much so. Erika is attractive enough, and she had every tool in her position to sell this organically, except for one thing: emotion. The entire story of what happened could have helped her sell this fully. She really would have been the last person on earth to be a suspect if not for the FBI's terrible mistakes, TPUSA's lies, and her very fake performance. Plenty of attractive, ambitious women move through media spaces without triggering that response, even though we know what they are. This is about something else, an extreme disconnect between presentation she puts out and perceived authenticity. Yeah, exactly. That was what I said when this story first broke and she first started making public appearances. That was exactly my theory of what it was. There are certain people, I say this about Kamala Harris too. I don't actually say it about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's an evil person, but that doesn't make you a psychopath. Hillary Clinton does not play to me as somebody who does not experience human emotions, who has to fake her way through presenting herself as a human being. I think she's a wretched human being, but somebody with the full complement of normal human emotions. Exactly. When I watch Kamala Harris, and I think when a lot of people watch Kamala Harris, there's something just not right. There's something very off-putting about the way she presents herself that's not just bad politician. It's exactly what she's describing. It's that mismatch between what you're seeing and what the person is purporting to be or purporting to convey. And yeah, the brain picks up on it. I always make the comparison when you have this reaction to somebody who is probably a psychopath. Michael Crichton in Jurassic Park in the book makes an observation that mammals kind of have a visceral discomfort with reptiles because the way that they move, the way it just doesn't jive with a mammal's understanding of movement, of behavior. I think if you are a normal person with emotions, when you see a psychopath, they just don't feel right. They just don't move right. That was how I felt about Erika Kirk the first time I saw her speak. I mean, until after what happened with Charlie, I'm not in that world. It's not the media I consume. She read to me like a psychopath. I got the same sense I get when I see Kamala Harris speak. Now, with all of the things coming out about her past at this point, it's starting to look darker and darker. Now, of course, that does not mean we're not saying we have no knowledge that she conspired in the death of Charlie Kirk, but there's a fair amount of evidence there that she was placed in Charlie's path to play a certain role, i.e. honeypot. Certainly, I think it's incontrovertible at this point that she's completely constructed her past, as we'll see in the next segment. You don't lie that much about your personal history if there's nothing to hide. Now, again, that's typical psychopathic behavior, and that could just be accounted for as what she goes on to describe in this tweet. This is somebody who wanted power, and she just remolded herself into this Christian trad wife image once she hooked up with Charlie and he became her path to power. That's who she had to make herself out to be. But then there are a lot of very strange things in her past and her family history, as Stu Peters points out. It's very odd. It's very odd. I can't think of another story quite like this.
Well, it's funny, there's the saying, politics is show business for ugly people, right?
Uh-huh.
And that is that is a treacherous space to be in. But what you have with organizations like TPUSA, these sort of hybrid sort of influencer / political organizations,
Right.
TPUSA is basically show business as politics for pretty people. And that is a treacherous space as well, because you attract the kind of climbers who may even want prestige and stardom before power. Like the power is just the price of doing business. It sounds like Erika Kirk was trying to get into show business with the reality shows and the modeling and this and that. And it seems like, she probably had the right connections to sort of carve an inside path for herself through the political space. Now, once again, I've been on this page from day one. I do not believe she had any hand in Charlie's murder, but I do believe that TPUSA is at the very least complicit in a way in the cover-up, since they are basically tacitly taking the government side and insisting that there's nothing to see here. This is why that rift happened with Candace Owens, and I know people got very upset at Candace Owens after she had that sort of cordial meeting with Erika Kirk, and I said, I'm sure this will come to a head again, and now here we are with this documentary coming out. So look, it's a scene. It's a scene. This whole space is a big scene, and the higher up you go, the less and less relatable people are to the everyday experiences of ordinary people, because frankly, they're not ordinary people. They're not like you. They don't have the same problems as you do. That's why it was always, I say this, this is not a trivial point. When I was a tour guide, and you've said the same thing, the people who was hardest to make laugh were the richest people. The richer you were, the harder it is to take a joke from a working stiff who's, driving you around the city, for an hourly wage. So I think that's kind of baked in. Now, as for the State of the Union, it really did strike me as odd that Trump spent so little time on Charlie Kirk, because September of last year feels like an eternity ago, but it was not. It was only 5 months ago. I mean, think about it. That feels like years ago, September of last year. But it was only 5 months, which means this was the first State of the Union since Charlie Kirk was killed. And so you would think, Charlie Kirk played a huge role, especially in the second Trump campaign, in really juicing youth turnout and shrinking the margin, blue to red support, especially among young men. I think Trump actually won young men, largely because of the organizing that TPUSA did. Given their personal relationship and given what political hay the administration tried to make out of his death in the days and weeks following September 10th, I would have thought he would have devoted a good 5 minutes to Charlie Kirk. They don't really seem to want to talk about it very much, which to me is a big sign that there's a cover-up going on. Again, we don't know what the cover-up is exactly or what happened, but just like after Butler, you don't hear them talk about, but like the things that are fishy, the things that people think are fishy are things they tend to not want to get into. Right? They don't want to talk about them very much, because you would have thought 5 months after the murder of Charlie Kirk, he'd have gotten 5 minutes. You're going to give the hockey team, a bunch of fucking doofuses on a hockey team, you're going to gush over them for 7 minutes straight, but Charlie Kirk gets 1 minute. that tells me they don't want to talk about this anymore. And if they don't want to talk about something that they seem so eager to not only talk about, but to really use as pretext to usher in a major part of their program.
Well, that's the thing. It's very politically useful to them. So why would they not?
So
use
why would
it
they
at
just
the-
not
at
want
the-
to talk about it
at
anymore?
this big opportunity
Right. Why
to
are they
use it to push suppression of political dissent?
You have the widow there at the State of the Union. This is a
Yeah.
huge opportunity to manufacture consent for whatever First Amendment infractions you wanted to use this for when it happened. And he got on it and off it in a minute 20, counting applause breaks. That tells you there's something fishy there, in my opinion. All right. We got some super chats over there.
Sure do. Prosthesis Gate, another middle finger to veterans. Yeah, who's this going to affect? Like I really kind of wanted to do this story. I don't know if any of you seen. It's kind of going around. There's the blind immigrant that they picked up in Buffalo.
Yeah,
and once the ICE agents figured out he was legal, there was no basis to detain him. They let Buffalo, people die in Buffalo from the cold a lot. That happens a lot there. They left this elderly blind veteran miles from his home, and he died. He froze to death, man.
Yeah, just horrible.
It's just a war on the public. How many horror stories are going to come out of a policy like this? Now,
what are you even hassling a blind man for? Even if the blind man, if a blind man's here illegally, how much is he sucking at? He's blind. Right. He can't be. Right. I mean, what crimes can he commit if he's blind?
Right. No, I mean, these people, you get a meltdown when you say this. The people who take this job are fucking scum. They're scum. Yeah. That's why, even with the supposed, there are reports they're not getting it. Even with the supposed signing bonuses, they're having a hard time getting people. Because most people don't want to sign up to join the Gestapo. Right. If you're willing to join the Gestapo, that says something about you. What kinds of stories are you going to see come out of this if this policy goes into effect? How many stories are you going to see of veterans who can't get a wheelchair?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of old people who can't get a cane. I mean, just how,
and that's a nationwide policy. It's a nationwide policy, which means it's politically extraordinarily stupid. One of the reasons they punish Minnesota is because, as Cool Blue mentioned, Minnesota is the longest running blue state in history. Minnesota, is basically a lost cause politically, so they could beat down on the people of Minnesota without worrying about, losing a seat or whatever. But you do this across the country, is what I'm telling you. Florida, there was just a poll in Florida that had the Democratic governor up by 8 points over both potential Republican candidates. That's pretty shocking in fucking Florida right now. You do this where you start not sending people their medical shit. What do you think is going to what do you think is going to happen here? What do you think the result of all this is going to be? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, these people all belong in front of a people's tribunal, and I hope one day they find themselves presented to one. Alan Lee, love you guys. I tried earlier to do a super chat. I'm a bit of a Luddite. This is first attempt at super chat. You know what? I would be in the same boat. I've never sent a super chat in my life. I wouldn't know how to do it. Would love to see a future segment on sports politics. The USA hockey team attending State of the Union pissed me off. I mean, if we were going to do a sports thing, that would be on brand. Yeah, they got a lot of pushback for a lot of that. Duke DeCook, massive public school fraud happening in Lakewood, New Jersey. No surprise why it is allowed to happen there. Do you know anything about that? I haven't heard that. DJ Hildtich. Someone should tell Pam that the Dow that can be told is not the eternal Dow. Funny stuff. I got you. J. Core, original theatrical release screening of Star Wars 1977 was just announced for IMAX 2/19/2027. You may need to return to the U.S. after all. Yeah, so something happened to me. What do you call it? Oh, right, middle age. I don't care anymore. I'm not interested. I don't care about Star Wars. I'm over it. I think maybe watching man babies complain about Kathleen Kennedy for like 3 years running has just turned me off to the whole bloody affair. Because you don't want to be those guys. You don't want to be those guys. Like, I'm sorry, man. If you're in your 40s and 50s having the 1,000th conversation about how bad Kurtzman Trek is, the problem might not be Kurtzman, dude. The problem might be your life choices. Like, grow the fuck up. Jesus, man. Like could there be a better example of how our culture infantilizes people? That you would have that many people that age who are that obsessed with the fixations of children and teenagers and the fixations they had at that age. Like, get over it, man. Yeah, they ruined it. All right. Next. I mean, is that really what you're into now at this stage in your life? Like, you know, it's like you know, he says in Network. I mean, the character's older than that, but death used to be an abstraction, but now it has definable features. I mean, do you really want to be talking about Star Wars right now? Like, don't you have better things to think about? Aren't you at you know, Dante's Wood with the paths? You know, you find yourself in the dark wood and middle life, in the middle of your life. Like, amazing. So I won't be coming back for that. But you know what? I did a video about this today that I'll probably put on my channel. If I wind up being an expat, it's going to be because of healthcare. Like, that is going to be why. Like, I just read a story. I was just reading a story today where, like, this family, because they cut the Medicare subsidies, their insurance was going to go from $543 to like $3,500 or something. And these are people who did the right thing, worked their whole lives, had a house, expected to have a comfortable retirement. She gets diagnosed with ALS, and it kind of saves them because then she's qualified for Medicare, right? But their premiums are still $2,300. It's still not what it was, but it's enough that they won't lose their house. I read that and I say, look, knock on wood, and I'm going to knock right now. I'm very healthy. I've always had really good stamina. Obviously, to take a trip like this for this long, you have to be in pretty decent shape to keep the kind of pace I'm keeping. But you know, time is going to catch up with you eventually, if not today. You know, a year, 5 years, 10 years. All it takes is one call from the doctor with a bad, diagnosis, and you're in a different world, right? I won't buy a house in America for that reason. For that reason, I'm like, I don't want them to come and take my house if something happens to me. Like, why invest in a country that's that fucking barbaric? Like, if I become an expat, that's going to be why. Not for any other reason, out of fear, like, I'm not getting any younger. There will come a day that I need health care. Hopefully that's far in the future. You never know. You really want to get sick there?
Right, of course. Professor Brownnote, I think I get it now. Goyim equals primordial humanoid low IQ soup from Jews extract value. This goes until Jubris. Yes, thank you, Professor Brownnote. EO Shush, the Trump administration in a nutshell is 24/7 Willie Horton. Then leverage federal funds to states, leverage university funds, leverage tariffs, sue and threaten media, then Israeli wars. Indeed. People love making the many suffer for the perceived actions of the one, and those actions don't even need to be real. Thank you, Vianticus. Mark Pugliese, that's not punk, it's a hardcore. Well, that was what the AI said. It's a metal punk, you know, whatever. I hope I'm not out of line, but you guys say we can build bridges with MAGA types. May I recommend the Owen report? Yeah, I know who Owen Schroyer is. A 100% MAGA saying almost the same exact as you guys. Maybe you guys can talk to him. Yeah, I would like to have Owen on. I'm sure Rex Jones knows him, so maybe we can work that contact. I used Suno for my AI slop songs, including Do Not Comply and Hero Factory. Interesting. Mark Pugliese, maybe we need to identify with Marxism rather than distinguish ourselves from it. One, it is the most coherent philosophy. Two, tankies have been right about every issue we've had so far. Russ, it's nice to know what we Italians straighten your ass out. Thank you. Q81, want more proof how Lakud James is very cringe and creepy. Interesting vid and those Diddy parties. Interesting. School is just another way of indoctrination. It was obvious even when we were kids. Okay. All right. Let's go to part 2.
All right, let me just respond to a little chat. Yeah, didn't I make it clear I was talking about Star Trek with Kurtzman? Yeah, Kurtzman, that's Star Trek. And yes, you are right. The original Star Trek was mature science fiction, unlike what it is now. I agree with the criticisms. My point is, I mean, if you're in your 50s, isn't it time to move on and just get over it now? Like, yeah, the original Star Trek was like heady. That's what was great about it. And they degraded it and turned it into whatever the fuck that is.
Right.
But I mean, like, why be that obsessed with a pop culture thing? That's what I'm saying is immature. Like,
Right.
why? Like, yeah, man, I would still watch like old Next Generation. That'll always be there for you. But to be obsessed with like, oh my God, did you see Starfleet Academy? Dude, get out, you're a grown ass fucking man. Get the fuck over it. Move on. Move on. There are more important things to think about, such as Candace Owens. Right? So Candace dropped a trailer for her, and actually now she dropped the first episode, which I watched, of her documentary about Erika Kirk.
That Kirk has died after he was shot from a nearby building.
After being shot at Utah Valley University.
The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
I didn't even get to give him a kiss goodbye.
That young man, I forgive him.
Take your time.
Erika Kirk has been named the new CEO of Turning Point USA.
My husband's dead. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid, but he's dead.
It's weird to say excited.
Describes her husband's funeral as the event of the century. Merch, hats.
We have 50,000 plus
That guy's
hat
still going.
orders.
Nobody knows why she's out there in a glittering pantsuit in a recreated tent that her husband tragically was murdered in, throwing merch out.
Everyone grieves differently, so if someone's acting weird, don't read into that.
Zionists, the Prime Minister of Israel, all lied through their teeth about Charlie Kirk.
Her operation was in Constanta, the epicenter of Romania's trafficking scandal.
Weird conversations to have with a 15-year-old. I'm gonna touch your butt.
$8.6 million to their own shell company.
What is going on?
We have nothing to hide. My aunt used to tell me, never do something that you don't want on the front page of a newspaper.
Yeah. So
I'm a little insulted our Benny Johnson gay jokes didn't make the trailer.
I can't believe there was not one Benny in the closet reference in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So Candace, as you would expect, got quite the reaction from the Daily Wire TPUSA aligned portion of the MAGAverse, according to her.
A 2-minute trailer resulted in one of the most aggressive preemptive PR strikes that I have ever seen. They posted photos of my manager's infant daughter, my makeup artist, my family members. They left a voicemail for my producer. Okay, well, this was initially supposed to be just 3 episodes. Now I'm thinking about a season 2 and a season 3. Because if you haven't quite figured me out yet or thought through how we got here, I don't like it when innocent people are targeted and attacked and on rare occasions shot in the neck in broad daylight.
Yeah, kind of declaring war. So, hey, it did not end with phone calls to her agent, Matt Wallace. Full disclosure, I was offered money today to say bad things about Candace Owens and turned it down. Milo, did you take money to call Candace Owens a demon on X? If so, we want to hear from you. Let me rephrase. I got my hands on the list. Fess up now, or I'll name you later this week, alongside the pathetic, pitiful sum of money you accepted to do it. I'm sorry, I can't help but like this nasty bitch. This guy's funny, man.
He's a character.
He is a character. He is really a character. So Candace responded to this. Oh, I am so here for the list. Jake Shields says, I got $20K. and we'll get back to that later. Eddie Liger from Midwestern Marks, vindicated. This morning, I said there was a coordinated attack against Candace Owens over her Erika Kirk investigation. Now a leaked TPUSA email confirms it, laying out the smear campaign and even scripting the talking points. They were told to call her evil and demonic, and right on cue, clowns like Dan Bongino parroted it word for word. These people are too stupid to think for themselves. They need Erika Kirk to do it for them. I mean, I don't think it's anything about stupid. They're just grifters. They take their marching orders. They, bend the knee to the people that they serve. Clearly a rift is opened up where you have different alignments. And if you're aligned with the TPUSA clique, you do what they tell you to do. According to Milo and according to Wallace, these people got paid. Subject: urgent shutdown. Candace's latest smear. Action needed tonight. This isn't journalism. It's pure evil. Demonic slander against a widow still in mourning. Dragging Charlie's name and legacy through the mud for clicks and clout. We've seen her pattern before, but this time it's personal, it's vicious, and it has to stop. Talking points. Use these verbatim or close variations. This tells you a lot about how this works. I've covered this. Keaton has covered this, where you can see how the tweets they put out on a variety of subjects clearly come from a press release because there are overlaps between words and phrases that are just impossible to be coincidental. So this really gives you a window into the kinds of releases that go out to these grifters. Candace Owens is evil, pure evil. This is demonic, straight up satanic level attack on a widow and her kids. Candace is a demon obsessed with destroying Charlie's family. How can any real Christian stay silent while she attacks Erika Kirk like this? She's not asking questions. She's conducting a witch hunt. Action items. Do this now before it trends further. Quote or reply to this key post exposing the trailer and call it out using the language above. RT's post with the trailer video, high visibility, amplify the outrage there. This is really, I've never seen anything quite like this. This really tells you how this all works. How it all works. Like where you see these people all show up in certain threads. Why? Because it's coordinated. Not normally by TPUSA. Marjorie Taylor Greene mentioned Influenceable. I think that's probably the organization behind a lot of those coordinated campaigns. But I'm sure it's very similar. The press releases they get when they get their marching orders and their checks from these people. Share and quote Graham Allen Strong stand. He's leading the charge. This is when you see all these grifters retweeting the same thing, amplifying the same thing. And then where does most of this conversation take place? X, where Elon can boost these things in the algorithm. His video declaring he's coming for everyone responsible. Boost this hard. 3, post your own version if you have reach. Tag big accounts like Cat Turd, Gunther Eagleman, who is that? Jordan Wells, Joel Berry, and use hashtag stand with Erika, hashtag Charlie Kirk legacy, hashtag stop Candace. 4, flood the replies under any Candace defending or neutral posts with the demon evil framing. Make it impossible to ignore. This coordinated push worked against her before. It can bury this trailer before episode 1 even drops. Yeah, I don't know how they thought that was going to work. Don't let the discernment crowd spin this as brave truth-telling. It's exploitation of tragedy. If you're in, hit reply with in, and we'll loop you into the next update. For Charlie, for Erika, for the kids, for what's left of decency on our side. Stay strong. See you, team. Forward only. Do not reply all. That's amazing. You want to see how this all works? It's all right there. It's all right there. This is obviously a very specific campaign, but I'm sure all of them basically break down this way. These are your talking points. These are the posts to amplify. This is what we want you to retweet. Get on this thread. So Morgan Ariel. Now, I don't know if this came from Milo, but a list of influencers who were paid to smear Candace Owens and call her a demon has been released. So who's on there? No real surprise here. Cat Turd, Graham Allen, of course, Gunther Eagleman. And they have here what they actually put out. Candace Owens, there's Cat Turd. Candace Owens is pure evil. She's a demon straight from the bowels of hell. Gunther Eagleman, evil woman, pure evil, evil AF, attacking children, not okay. Laura Loomer, Candace Owens is an evil woman, evil as Islam. It's like she put her own little.
She put her signature on it. Put her stamp on it.
Rubin report: Candace Owens is cruel, cunning, and evil. Ben Shapiro, real Candace Owens is evil. All right, so you understand this is who these people are. They get a press release, they get marching orders, they get paid, and they pretend to have an opinion. I mean, so-called independent media, I would say at least 80% of it it's worse than corporate media. Because they're at least with corporate media, you know who owns them. They're pretending that they're independent voices, and they're as controlled, as bought and paid for as any corporate media shill has ever been. There's a screenshot of some of these people who've presumably been paid. I'm convinced Candace Owens is a demon. Candace is a demon. I'm not so sure if Candace Owens is merely a demon. What Candace Owens is doing is the most wicked and satanic thing that has ever come from the online right. Amazing. Hodge twins managed to stay out of this, I guess. They all got the memo today to call Candace Owens a demon. This shit crazy. They decided not to take the money. Jake Shields. I'm convinced Candace is genuinely an actual satanic demon from the pits of hell. Whether you are a Candace fan or not, this is pure evil, more evil than a satanic demon in hell. Sorry, Candace, but I couldn't turn down $20K for a tweet. And the Podfather.
The Podfather.
He's back. He's back. He's home. And you're all going to get a spanking. Shugal. When you're more concerned about what Candace Owens is doing than you are about arresting pedos and people who eat babies, then it's apparent you are a sellout. By the way, all the people that were mad because MTG quit, are you mad at Dan Bongino for quitting? All right, so here's Bongino's statement, which is very much along the lines of the TPUSA press release.
I think so. We'll see. Even an old 51 years old, I don't walk around all day terrified about my security situation. Maybe I should, but I don't. I'm nobody's victim. I chose a public life, and sadly, this is a part of it. Erika didn't choose this, man. She didn't choose this. Imagine sitting there.
Now this is an actor working to find the emotion that he has to convey to make the scene believable. That's the pause. He's taking that pause to convey this emotion that he doesn't feel. I mean, he fake feels it, but he doesn't actually feel it. That's a very common actor move, to take a beat, to find the moment and then to go on. These people are all actors. They're all liars. They're all grifters.
In your house, and you find out from Twitter or, I don't know, a text or a phone call or that your husband was just shot in the neck for the entire world to see on social media at a public event. I can't imagine that. I know you can't either. Then you got to go through this. Then you got a bunch of absolute fucking lunatics sending her emails. You did it. Comments, tweets. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. You demonic fucking scum.
Do I get paid? I said demonic.
Yeah,
Do I get
For as
paid
much
now?
as I hate what just happened, I wish ill on no one, and everyone should restrain their emotions from the other side because they are not on our side. Everyone. Once you go down the road of violence, there's no turning back. There's always someone stronger than you, man. Always. There's a whole lot of people stronger than me. But I'm sorry if the language distracts from you, but I can think of no other New York way to say it than fuck you, motherfuckers. You deserve to feel the little licks of the flames of hell on every inch of your body. Fuck you. If there's an afterlife, oh, and I believe there is. I believe in the second creation. I don't pretend to be
Got a funny
the
way of
judge
showing
and
it,
jury,
man.
but I know you're not in it.
He's a very stable person.
What ring of hell do they reserve for people who cover up for pedophiles that they work for? What ring of hell is that?
I got to tell you, I've been doing this for a really long time now.
Maybe it's time to not do it anymore. You ever think of that?
And as I said in the beginning of the show, I walked into the dark forest. I didn't know where it's going to go. I did not have this all mapped out because I don't know what to say. People have tried being nice. People have tried screaming and yelling. People have tried a middle of the road approach. Nothing works. Ignore it, it metastasizes. Address it, it metastasizes. I wish I had the answer. I can only make decisions for me. I can't make decisions for you as to what you want to watch or what you don't. This isn't about views or who's popular or who's this. I don't care. I'm just telling you I'm making a decision for me now. I don't want to be any part of that. If you're part of that, please leave. If it is half my audience disappears tomorrow, good riddance. Sayonara, motherfuckers.
I think 3/4 already left.
I don't want you. Nobody else wants you here. The people who watch this show don't want you here. Sane people, and that is a majority of us, hate your guts. We don't want you. Nobody wants you. You were the spawn of Satan. I promise your parents, alive or dead, are looking at you now in horror that they spawned a demon. Your last name will live in infamy. Your kids will deny knowing you. I don't want anything to do with you. I see you out there. I know exactly what you're doing. You can just go. It's not an airport. You don't have to announce your fucking departure. Just go.
All right, listen, man. As somebody in this space, that's the one thing he said that I found relatable. Like, why do people, when they unsubscribe, have to tell you unsubscribed? Like, why? Why do you need to announce that? Just go. Yeah, that is the one sane thing he says in this whole monologue.
I'm the anti-clicks view guy. I don't want you. Your views, your clicks, nothing. Don't buy anything. Don't do anything. Don't touch anything we do. Just go away.
The Donald Trump butt plug. You don't got to buy that. You don't got to buy that. We got plenty of people who we like who want to buy a Donald Trump shaped butt plug. Yeah. So, he hits the demon and the hell theme in a way that there's absolutely no way he did not get that release. There's no way that's a coincidence. One thing I want to point out that he says here, now I'm not saying, she asked to have Charlie assassinated, but the idea that Erika Kirk was like a retiring woman trying to not live a public life, because he starts off, he's not even talking about the assassination. He's talking about how I chose to be a public figure and having security issues comes with it, but she didn't ask for any of that. He wasn't talking about the assassination specifically. She definitely asked for a public life. She strove for it her entire life. Erika Kirk was in Trump's 2012 Miss USA pageant. Small world. I mean, that's weird in and of itself. But yeah, you don't do that to avoid a public life. Or how about this? Is one of the most damning things to come out after her town hall, where she presented herself as this virginal non-drinker who didn't date for 5 years before she met Charlie. And I want to be clear. I'm not slut shaming anybody. I'm not blaming a young woman for having a sex life. It's about lying about it and constructing a completely false persona. Of course, at that age, go ahead, do what you want. But she has presented herself as someone quite different. But again, she was on a lot of reality TV. She was dating an athlete. This is she was on The Amazing Race.
Hi.
Good morning, America.
Really handsome.
You look gorgeous.
Okay, this unseen footage will shock you.
Babe, that's deep in there. Give them cleavage. People want cleavage. Showcase it.
Sex sells.
Pay close attention.
Sex sells, babe.
It goes against everything in the narrative being displayed now.
You need a God and it's not you.
That's me.
That's against religion.
Believe me, this gets even worse the deeper we go.
Hi, I'm JT Massey.
Hi, I'm Erika France.
So we've got the joking about her religious values.
That's me.
That's against religion.
We've got a confirmation of living in California.
I currently live in Venice, California.
And now also stating she lived in China.
Because I've lived in China. I've lived in Chongqing.
There is a lot to unravel. I'm still analyzing it.
Modern day gypsy.
Yeah.
In the last video, I broke down the...
Okay. And also, we're not going to show this. We've showed this in the past. It gets copyright claimed. Erika Kirk France appeared on 2 episodes of Summer House, season 3, episodes 11 and 12. They were filmed at the Hamptons in August of 2018. She met and interviewed with Charlie Kirk weeks later and ended up turning it into a date. She lived in NYC for 4 years. So, yeah, these are not the decisions of somebody who doesn't want to be a public figure. She had always clearly wanted to be a public figure. So, the show's not going so well since Dan came back. You could see kind of a complete collapse in his audience. You have, of course, the curiosity views when he first went on. Already by his second show, 50% of that was gone, down to 41, 34. Now he's down to 24% of the audience that his first episode got. I don't know who the audience would be at this point for Dan Bongino, who really built his reputation on calling out the deep state and the Epstein Files, who then went in, became part of the cover-up, and then comes back out and continues to be part of the cover-up. I think if you're going to be like a Dan Bongino, where there's no obvious audience for what you do, like Ben Shapiro, you get money from somewhere. You got to get money from somewhere, unless you want to go get a real job. I don't think Bongino wants to go get a real job. I don't think Ben Shapiro wants to go get a real job. Remember all the reporting about how Daily Wire was going bankrupt? You don't see that anymore, right? What happened? What happened? Well, I mean, in the case of the Daily Wire, Israel is spending quite a lot of money paying influencers and propagandists. I don't know this for a fact. I would bet a lot that Daily Wire is being propped up by some of Israel's propaganda budget. That's why the bankruptcy went away. Dan Bongino, we don't know if or who is paying him, but there's an interesting clip that's worth revisiting.
Cause is dear to your heart.
Cause is dear to my Israel, the defense of Israel.
What is number one?
Okay. All right, so he's in the club. He's in the club, just like TPUSA is in the club now that Charlie's out of the way. And of course, that's what a lot of the speculation about this centers on with the Kirk assassination, because Charlie, and this is not to lionize him or to take away a lot of things that he said that we would not agree with very strongly, or to make a hero out of him. But it does look like he was going through a transformation in his opinion about Israel and Zionism towards the end of his life. And of course, the question is that why that ended up being the end of his life? But now you have really, if you look at this MAGA split, that's the split. That's the split. It's people who are Israel first versus people who are America first. Now, obviously, we don't align ideologically with a lot of the MAGA stuff, although some of it with the people who are sincere and not total hypocrites, we would align with some of that. But that's where the real break is. These people work for Israel. TPUSA works for Israel. This is why Dan Bongino would come out and say that. Is he being paid directly by Israel? We don't know that. This is what I would say. If you look at the ratings on his show, if you look at the fact that there's no obvious audience for what he's doing now, he's going to be getting paid by Israel sooner or later if he's not already, because how else would he stay afloat? What audience is there for what he's doing? There's no audience for Ben Shapiro. There's no organic audience for Ben Shapiro. There's not enough Zionists in the world to support that operation and the kind of overhead an operation like that has. That's why they were going bankrupt. I suspect, I don't know, but I very strongly suspect Israel came in and bailed out the Daily Wire. And Bongino, whether he's being paid now or not, being aligned with these people gives him a lifeline because his audience is collapsing. And ultimately, he can get in on some of that cash if he needs to. Morgan Ariel. Dan Bongino goes scorched earth on the Trump administration for protecting pedophiles and tells them all to burn in hell. Just kidding. He's enraged over Erika Kirk. Imagine if he actually had this energy when it came to saving our country. Meme here. Billionaires graping children. I sleep. Candace Owens exposing Erika Kirk. Real shit. And finally, Dan Bongino, tough on Twitter, soft on crime. Yeah, that should be the slogan for his new podcast. So yeah, I mean, this rift is getting clearer and wider, and Candace Owens is kind of has emerged as the leader of people I would argue have some kind of integrity. And I mean, it's kind of her and Tucker versus almost the entire rest of the space in a lot of respects, in terms of the most high profile people. There are other smaller channels, Jake Shields, Owen Schroyer, who are not down with that. But in terms of the biggest, most prominent people, yeah, it's kind of Tucker and Candace versus TPUSA, Daily Wire, and everybody else.
Yeah, it's about people who, have the ability to remain independent and the confidence in their stuff. This is why, the more interesting commentators are usually the more correct on things. Like there's an overlap, and that's not necessarily true in all cases. Like, you get a lot of people who are eccentric types who have, wild and crazy views on things. But in this case, it seems like the more interesting you are, the more likely you are to ask the kinds of questions, that Candace has been raising, or, dissent on policy the way Tucker is. You get the sense with a guy like a guy like Bongino is a perfect example of a guy who just always struck me as a fucking meathead. Like always just struck me as a guy who's really not smart enough or interesting enough to truly go on his own.
Right.
Right. And you get the same sense with like Shapiro, the same sense, even with like Walsh. Like Walsh has some kind of like dry sense of humor, but he doesn't say anything particularly interesting ever. Benny Johnson, when does he ever say anything interesting? Jack Posobiec, like the people who are hacky because they need to fish in the biggest pool they can find.
Well,
Because
it's like the administration itself.
Actually build yes. The biggest pool in right of center media is still the MAGA pool. As much as Trump's brand has tanked, it's still the most people to be reached in conservative politics is the base of Trump support. So if you're an interesting person and you're confident enough in your ability to be an interesting person, like a Candace Owens or a Tucker Carlson, then you trust that you'll be all right if you stray from orthodoxy. And by this point, don't forget, Candace Owens, you're talking about rich people. You're talking about very wealthy people who, like, God forbid they lose half their audience. Who cares? They're still wealthy.
They can afford to.
You have to be a pretty shallow, hacky, money-grubbing, just imbecile to just mindlessly go along. Yeah, I called her a demon. This is what I said. It's just it's a pretty pathetic space at this point. It really is. All right. Vienticus Prime says, is Somali fraud going to be on your music channel, Keaton? Haha, good one.
That's what I'm saying, man. That should be your opening theme.
Should be the house band, Somali fraud. Yeah. Yes. Trump is best pedo dent. He's the best ever. No one pedo dents like Trump, the stable genius. Thank you, Vienticus. Freddie says, sorry, my last joke didn't land. It was about G Max in her country club puppy prison. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't get it. I knew you were joking. I knew you weren't trying to call me low IQ because we go back a long ways, Freddie X. Thanks for hosting Tusker. She was great. Does she have a channel? No, Tusker doesn't want the limelight. She does it for love of the game. So she does not have a channel.
She did us a favor.
Charlie was a great guy, and we loved him so much we gave him, Judy Denmark. Erika seems to be able to produce more tears now. I think she started keeping onion pieces in her tissues. So glad I didn't watch State of the Union. Don't keep showing clips, please. You could have watched it with us, with me and Tusker. We had a fun time. Do you know who Ray Mabus is? I met him today at the post office. LOL. I don't get that one. Do you get that one? EO Shush. Erika Cook missed her calling to be a telenovela actress. Scene she just gives birth and the Hispanic husband notices the baby is circumcised with a big nose. Then yells, Julio. Thank you, EO Shush. 3 Tom the Bomb. Say communists are not strictly anti-anarchists. We just recognize that anarchy will never be able to organize sufficiently to pose a threat to the current ruling class like a national communist party can. Again, this is where my social anarchism comes in. That's your opinion and you're entitled to it. That's fine. 3 Tom the Bomb. The Communist Party. We are working hard every day in our community. See, that's the theme that runs through my ideology. Is all right. That's the way you feel. That's cool. You be you. You're good. Join the fight today, acp.us. All right. Go ahead. Take some super chats. Let's go through them a little quick because we're running a little low on time. I want to try to get to my ice thing.
Yep. Wasim Garani. I hope Wu-Tang gets in. Look into the meaning of their song PLO style. Plus their business manager since day one who created their deals and merch with the famous logo passed away this week at 52.
I thought Method Man recorded that solo. Did he do that solo or is that a Wu-Tang track? I forget. But I do know that track. And yes, I advocated for their entry.
Nong Nong Nong. Pretty sure Erika Kirk is a clone of Victoria Nuland. Compare eyebrows, death stares, jaw lines, and facial rage creases. Zandor Varkov. You see, with Iran's enrichment program, there are unknown unknowns. Yep. Skyman, it's literally the most mentally deranged and socially handicapped people in charge now. This runs deeper than just online spurgs. They're basically the same as mass shooters, but with power, evil. Dave, 1984, hi from the bathroom where I'm hiding from my boss. You guys are awesome, despite your horrible take on everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah.
That movie's got some fans.
If I'm president, I'm keeping the ICE jails open for everyone who likes that movie. That's why I'm not getting rid of the ICE jails. Everybody's going to have their rationale for keeping them open. Yeah, I need a rationale for keeping them open. That's mine.
Sonia
Go in
Hawk
until you learn, then you can come out.
recently found out that as of February 6th, Florida only allowing English driver's license exam. No translation permitted. More learn English or go home BS. Yeah, did they pass that? Is that actually happening? I guess so. Michael Ewan, you need to do more Candace segments. Maybe next time one of your clips will make the cut for her next investigation. Awesome work, guys. Well, you know, I can't believe she didn't use any of our Benny in the Closet stuff.
Yeah.
Zandor Varkov, I agree, Russ. There's so many great movies I have yet to see to fill our lifetime for me to see about crappy sequels to a 40-plus-year-old franchise. Most of them suck after 2 or 3 sequels anyway. I mean, I did my Star Wars thing. In my opinion, there has not been a great Star Wars movie since 1980. That was The Empire Strikes Back. It's a long time to be, you know, hoping to get that heroin rush.
Yeah, exactly.
Time, you know.
Yep.
Captain Acehawk. Kirk is creepy as hell. I once met a baby crocodile in London. Long story, no emotional vibe. Killing machine, nothing like mammals. Cold. Yeah, I held a baby alligator. That's what they have in Louisiana. Skyman. Danny Boy has the most hollow and empty eyes I have ever seen. That man looks like he has the kind of tired sleep can't fix. He's done for.
He looks pretty spent. He does look.
Yeah, he's haunted by what he saw in those files, and he's disgusted with himself for what he has to do to make a living now. Mark P. Thickout, does Bongino feel this deep for the people ICE is torturing, killing, and sending to hell? Well, of course he doesn't. Those are subhumans. Heavy Snack, who the fuck seriously watches Bongino? Well, the numbers tell you not many.
That's right.
Even you did a segment on this. Even his Cash Patel thing didn't do that.
Yeah,
well,
it didn't really do much. Yeah.
Truth Seeker, Dr. Oz of Epstein Files fame is decrying fraud. Meanwhile, Europeans on the list are resigning or getting arrested, while those on the list in Trump's administration are saying nothing to see here. We are a joke. Yeah, true. All right, you want to do your segment?
Well, no, let's do Epstein first because that's in the thumbnail. So we want to make sure we get to that. Make sure we don't run out of time.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Do you need a minute to set it up? Do you need more video or nothing? Or you got it?
No, I'll just assume the position.
All right. Very good.
Okay. DOJ removed record of multiple FBI interviews with underage Trump accuser. Epstein data shows. So much winning. So much winning. So this is from Brian Allen. This is Robert Garcia went on CNN to talk about these missing documents.
We have a survivor that made serious allegations against the president. Clearly, the FBI participated in some interviews and discussions with this survivor. When looking at the DOJ documents, there is a manifest or a list of documents and interviews that this survivor participated in and that should be made available to the Congress as part of the document file search. Some of those documents and interviews are given, we've had access to, but there's a series of documents and what appears to be possible interviews that the FBI conducted with the survivor that are actually missing, that we don't have access to. And to remind the public, we're viewing unredacted documents that the DOJ has in their possession. I'm very aware of the survivor, and why these documents are missing is a critical question right now for the DOJ.
All right. So this story, so when NPR covered this story, that's when it really blew up. But the story actually was broke by an independent. So I'm going to use some from both articles. Roger Solenberger actually broke this story. On Sunday, I reported that the FBI interviewed a victim who accused President Donald Trump of sexually and violently assaulting her when she was 13 to 15 years old. I also reported that some of the Justice Department's case files for this woman, who later sued and reportedly received a settlement from Jeffrey Epstein's estate for sexual abuse allegations in the same time frame, appear to be missing from the government's publicly searchable Epstein database. However, I have now found DOJ records showing that the FBI did not just interview this woman once. The FBI interviewed this woman who claimed that Trump forced her to give him oral sex while she was in her early teens, then punched her in the head after she bit his penis and kicked her out at least 4 times. Now, if it's the same record, because I covered this when the new files dropped, I'm pretty sure we read through that account. So I guess they subsequently pulled it down. But the DOJ's file associated with those records, a document cataloging information that the government provided counsel for a convicted Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell during her trial, has apparently been removed. This revelation adds to the mounting pile of evidence undermining statements from Attorney General Pam Bondi and other senior administration officials, assuring the public that the Epstein file release has been transparent, complete, and bereft of any evidence implicating Trump in wrongdoing. But my initial report also raised questions about files associated with the victim's case number that do not appear to be in the Epstein database. In other words, the case seems to be incomplete. My reporting showed the FBI found this woman's allegations credible enough to warrant a formal interview, which she gave with her attorney present in July 2019. And now, as I have just learned, credible enough for 3 other interviews. The woman's attorney told agents in that first interview that she would only speak to them at the time about Epstein and not any other people, including by name Donald Trump, specifying the reason as a fear of retaliation. Now, this is the NPR article covers the other victim whose files have been pulled. This was the one victim, but there's another. Justice Department withheld and removed some Epstein files related to Trump. The other woman whose mention of Trump made the DOJ's presentation appears in Maxwell discovery files released last month in what's known as a testifying witness 3500 material list. In the first interview of 6 with the FBI, conducted between September 2019 and September 2021, the second woman detailed how Epstein and Maxwell's abuse began while she was around 13 years old and attending the Interlochen Center for the Arts, and described how at one point Epstein took her to Trump's Mar-a-Lago club to meet him. Epstein told Trump, "This is a good one, huh?" The interview report reads. In a 2020 lawsuit against Epstein's estate and Maxwell, the second woman added that both men chuckled and she felt uncomfortable, but at the time was too young to understand why. That interview was removed from the DOJ's public files sometime after initial publication on January 30th and was republished February 19th, according to document metadata. What?
Oh, that's very strange, because you would think, okay, like if it were just an oversight, why would they put it back? It kind of seems like,
oh no.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
people noticed.
Like,
and
if they take the position, hey, we don't want to publish salacious material against the president because it'll cause undue reputational harm. Okay, well then why'd you put it back up?
Right,
if that were the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
To have
well,
it down and then put it back up, like you take it off when everybody's searching through the Epstein files when they drop for the few weeks, and then you put it back up to be like, oh no, we weren't hiding anything. Yeah, that's fishy.
Well, and you covered that school when we interviewed.
Yeah, our great friend. Yeah,
the talented Mr. Tracy. The Justice Department told NPR the only reason any file has been temporarily removed is that it had been flagged by a victim or their counsel for additional review. Multiple FBI interviews with other people refer to the second woman's meeting with Trump while she was a minor and being abused by Epstein. One interview with a fleeting mention of Trump was removed from the public database and subsequently restored last week, while another interview with the woman's mother is still offline. After publication, the Justice Department said the file required additional redactions and will be reposted soon. In that conversation, the mother recalled hearing that, quote, a prince and Donald Trump visited Epstein's house, which made her, quote, think that if they are there, then how could Epstein be a criminal, according to NPR's copy of the file that was first published. The possible omission of files that mention these women's particular allegations against the president come as the Justice Department is warned about other documents it has published in full that includes what it calls untrue and sensationalist claims about Trump. So this is the statement that they put out. As the Department of Justice has consistently said and has done since the January 30th, 2026 publication of the Epstein Files, if any member of the public, including victims, reported concerns with information in the pages, the department would review, make any corrections, and republish online. Several individuals and news outlets have recently flagged files related to documents produced to Ghislaine Maxwell in discovery of her criminal case that they claim appear to be missing. As with all documents that have been flagged by the public, the department is currently reviewing files within that category of the production. Should any document be found to have been improperly tagged in the review process and is responsive to the act, the department will, of course, publish it consistent with the law, because if there's anything this DOJ is known for, it's respect for the law.
Yeah.
Roger Solenberger, who broke the story. Oh, the Maxwell documents that you told Judge Engelmeyer in a prior court statement are actually duplicates of separate records that predate the Maxwell matter and aren't subject to the Maxwell protective order, but you're choosing to treat them that way because no reason given. Yeah. Yeah. This guy, I like this guy. This guy's got pluck. Oversight Dems. The Department of Justice continues to change its story. The facts are clear. Documents related to a survivor who accused Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein of abuse when she was a minor are missing from the released files. The Oversight Committee subpoena from last August does not provide the DOJ any reason to withhold these files. We are demanding access to these files immediately, and the public deserves to know who and why they were not included in the DOJ release. This White House cover-up must end. Yeah, they're smelling the blood in the water. Massey, maybe partly in frustration with this news about missing documents, started calling out people who appear in the Epstein files on the floor of the House.
The Department of Justice, Congress funds the Department of Justice, and Congress is responsible for the oversight of the Department of Justice. When will we see justice? I'll tell you what I've not seen. I've not seen any arrests from the revelations in the Epstein files, over 3 million documents describing horrible things, describing unspeakable things, so much of it redacted. Over 24 people have resigned, CEOs, members of government worldwide. But I haven't seen any arrests or investigations here in the United States from this Department of Justice. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, who has since been stripped of his royalty, his royal titles, due to his affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein, has been arrested. Peter Mandelson, who previously served as UK's ambassador to the United States, resigned in disgrace from United Kingdom's House of Lords and the Labour Party, and he's been arrested. Former Prime Minister of Norway, Torbjorn Jagland, has been charged. But we don't see any charges, arrests, or investigations in the United States. What do we see? We see our FBI director celebrating in the locker room at the Olympics overseas. It's fine to be proud of this country, but we should be proud of this country because we have a system of justice that works. And yet we do not. Who are the men that should be investigated? I'll name them right here. Leon Black. You don't even have to see past the redactions to see that this man needs to be investigated. Jess Staley, accused of terrible things. It's right there in the files. Why is he not being investigated? And Leslie Wexner. Why did the FBI list him as a co-conspirator in their own documents in a child sex trafficking case and then tell him, according to him, that they had no questions for him? Why is that? Well, the Epstein Files Transparency Act requires the DOJ and the FBI to disclose to us their internal memos and emails about how they made those decisions, whether to prosecute or not prosecute. Yet they have not delivered those memos. And we still don't have the memos and documents and emails from 2008 to explain why Jeffrey Epstein was given such a light sentence in what would have been an open and shut case of child sex trafficking, which allowed him to go back and recommit these terrible crimes, create hundreds of more victims, and ensnare so many other people in his conspiracy. Where are those documents that describe those decisions? We need justice. We want the Department of Justice to get to work, and that's what they need to do now.
Truly one of a kind, Thomas Massey. All throughout Europe, you're having careers ended, people fired, people arrested. In the United States, you have people who are, proven liars. Lutnick, he's not accused of doing anything illegal, but clearly he lied about his relationship with Epstein. Why has he not been forced out? This is what end stage capitalism looks like. Lutnick is not an employee. He's an owner. He's an owner. He owns this administration. You can't fire the boss. He's the boss. He's not a hire. He's the boss. Bessent is the boss. Those are your presidents. Lutnick and Bessent. Those are your actual presidents. That's why they're not going to go anywhere. The level of corruption in the United States is mind-boggling. It's staggering. This is why watching America continue to occupy this position of world leadership, it's like watching somebody spinning plates, keep adding more plates. You just eventually those plates are going to come crashing down. You just don't know which plate is going to be the plate to do it. You cannot maintain this position of world dominance when your government is so obviously a corrupt joke, to the point that you can't even tell people to resign who lied about their relationship with an infamous PDF file and sex trafficker. When these people have your whole country, your whole government so much by the balls, how can a country like that continue to lead the world? And indeed, it can. There's actually a story I might do later in the week about how, the Europeans, China, they are doing things to try to get rid of their holdings in U.S. bonds and U.S. currency. They're doing it slowly because they have to do it slowly because they're so entangled. Like
Right.
they can't just drop U.S. bonds without shooting themselves in the dick. So they're trying to disentangle from the United States. Everyone hates us. They hate us. They're stuck with us right now because of over 50 years post-war of the Bretton Woods system, of being completely dependent on the dollar as the world's reserve currency. That's going to take some time to disengage from. When you see the Europeans trying to work with America, when you see people negotiating with America, they're doing it at the point of a gun, and they are very much praying and looking forward to the day they don't have to deal with these crazy bastards anymore. You look at the segment on Medicare there, Dr. Oz. You name me a single country where that speech would happen from a government official. Name me a single fucking country where you would have a health official.
Well, they have
a health
universal
official declare war
Yeah.
on the population's right to medical devices because they found a few people committed some kind of fraud. Like, it was just the country is just a dystopian hellhole. Like, no other country has a government like this. None on earth. When you see American politicians talking about evil countries and crazy countries, Jesus fucking Christ, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Right. You got George Soros's right-hand man as your Treasury Secretary. You got fucking Pigman Lutnick over there just salivating about how much money they're gonna rob from the Treasury and put into the pockets of his degenerate sons who are running his old company, Cantor Fitzgerald. You got Crazy Eyes Cash jumping around like an idiot, getting drunk, taking planes all over the place, even though before he became FBI director, he said public officials should be investigated for taking planes that they don't have to take. You got Blanche Dubois Bondi there. I mean, it's an absolute joke. The only thing propping the country up at this point is that entanglement, which is the result of decades and decades and decades of the Europeans basically deferring to U.S. power, and China buying up those bonds. That's it. Like, that is the only thing keeping us afloat. But it cannot continue. It's just a question of what's going to be the one plate too many.
Well, Massey should remember when he talks about the light sentence that Jeffrey Epstein got. He had to pay the plaintiff's legal fees. Apparently, I learned that from reading Michael Tracy's X feed. He had to pay for the lawyers of the people who accused him of these horrible things. I believe that's what Michael Tracy said. This is a guy who owns an island. The guy who owns an island, but he had to pay for legal fees. So that was very unfair.
He was being oppressed.
He was being oppressed. That's right. It's a witch hunt. All right. Let's go to our scroll here. Hey, folks, if you like what we do and you want to help us do more of it, please consider becoming a member at one of our 3 member platforms, Patreon, Substack, or Locals. Links are right on the screen. They're Saturday night, 8 p.m. We are doing our inaugural film club with Right Brain TV. We're doing the Vietnam War film Land of Sorrows at 8 p.m. Eastern. Newsletter announcements will go out early Saturday, but please do sign up if you would like to join and support the show and get access to all kinds of bonus content, including the film club. We also do bonus streams, post-game live streams, and of course, ad-free live stream replays of every episode emailed to you the day after they air live. So that's dudissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. Nocturnal Human, Trump also forgot about that 2K he promised everyone. Again, no mention of that at the State of the Union. You're surprised he barely talked about Charlie. Remember this guy who did an interview in the White House lawn the day of or day after he was shot and all he wanted to talk about was the ballroom. Yeah, I remember that. We're holding up okay. And look at that. Look at this ballroom. R.E. the Lakewood, New Jersey scandal. It's a community taken over by Hasidim where they've gutted the public school system and other public services to provide welfare for themselves. I see. Many of the Hasidim in Lakewood and now surrounding towns like Toms River don't work and all go to segregated private school. this one YouTuber went there and they instantly shut down his Patreon. Yeah, it's funny because Nick Shirley.
Oh, wow.
Nick Shirley encouraged this guy to go and find more fraud, and he got a lot of backlash from his audience, calling him an anti-Semite, which was funny. Russ said he is not talking about Star Wars anymore. Then talks for 5 minutes while he's not talking about Star Wars anymore. Thank you, Yosha.
I'll tell you one better. I did a whole video about it, but have you seen me do a segment about it since then?
Not since.
Nope.
Stoop sign for the kids. Fuck them kids. Oh, wait, they do. Yikes. Huh. Kinky. Here's the tweet I just posted. Candace Owens is evil, pure evil. There. Now, please send me my 20,000, Erika. Thanks. There you go, Kinky. Thank you. Bongino is a disgrace to the vowel at the end of his name, says the Italian American. Go live in Israel, Dan Bongino, you traitor. David Laz, I'm sure Bongina feels flames of hell in his ass when his eyes knock on his door with the Adelson 15-incher chocolate ring of hell. Thank you, David Laz. All right. I got some super chats there.
We sure do. Laureen Chris, FBI worked on the case. Dan says he's imagining Erika finding out, maybe by text or phone. Shouldn't he know? They had to interview the wife. Well, no, I couldn't get into this. There wasn't enough time, but yeah, is there reporting now that the FBI forensics team was delayed by a day because Cash was using the plane? So maybe he doesn't know. Zainab Day, Timu Serena Joy for the corporate tech bro Gilead.
Thank you, Zainab. Good to see you here. Everybody check out Zainab Day on Twitter. Didn't you have a new Substack that you just put out? Type it in the chat so people know where to go for it. I forget the name of it. Otherwise, I'd say it. But I thought you announced a new Substack recently. But thank you for being here. Go ahead.
Darius King, I don't think Charlie ever had the pull of young people like Joe Rogan and the others had on them. He's a big deal now only because he died. No, that's not true. That's not true.
He didn't have the podcast audience that Rogan had, but he had the boots on the ground organization, the chapters and all that stuff. Yeah, he was very influential. Very influential.
Mock Racy, have you seen the Tyler Oliveira Lake?
Yeah, that's what we just talked about. Yeah, the fraud.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that. That's Zora Tosh 1313. Professor Dobular, I hope you're working on your follow-up. Not a piece. And Dr. Weiss, please do Piers Morgan. I think you'd kill it there.
Thank you. I would love to do Piers Morgan. I mean, I would give them a good show. They would never invite me back, but I would give them a good show. Yes.
What follow-up? Follow-up to what?
The NOLA piece.
Oh, hang on.
And thank you for that. Yes, that kind donation. Appreciate that.
Hang on. Which piece?
New Orleans.
Yeah, but which New Orleans piece?
I don't know. One of them. Probably the museum, maybe.
I did that Confederate museum piece. Yeah. Xander Vorkov, come on, guys. Epstein just really liked having pizza parties. That's what the quartering told me. Yeah. Is that what he said? Wouldn't surprise me. That fucking tub of shit. All right, you want to do your ice piece?
Yeah, let's do the big one here. Let's do the we got a nice $100 smacker donation here. Let's do that.
You want to do that one?
Yeah, why not? It's a quick one.
All right, Linda McLeod, no comment, just thanks for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyndon. Appreciate that very much. It's very kind of you. Thank you for that. All right, folks. Here we go. That down. All right, one more segment on the day here. So good news. Want to end the show on a positive note. Always. Planned New Hampshire ICE detention facility scrapped. So a big ICE prison that was planned for New Hampshire has now withdrawn plans to do so. Thanks to Vienticus for tipping us off to this story on the last show, because we always like to do positive stories to give you guys some hope that actually what we're doing here means something. So let's take a look at this report.
The heated public debate over a planned ICE detention facility in Merrimack is over. Governor Kelly Ayotte says she engaged directly with Homeland Security during her recent trip to Washington, and DHS has agreed to move on from the warehouse at 50 Robert Milligan Parkway to seek a new location.
And just so everybody knows, Ayotte is a Republican governor who's up for re-election this year. So she was definitely feeling like this is a big liability for her.
I thought going directly to those that were making the decision and having productive conversations was the way to get this done. And I'm very pleased that they've made the decision not to locate this ICE facility in Merrimack, New Hampshire.
We know that they're not going to look at Merrimack now. Is it possible they're going to look elsewhere in New Hampshire, or do you have a sense of what will happen next?
Based on the conversations that I've had, they are going to look elsewhere, so I don't expect that.
The governor faced criticism from Democrats for not being more confrontational with the Trump administration. But Tuesday morning, the Secretary of Homeland Security gave a nod to Ayotte's behind-the-scenes efforts, lauding her collaborative approach, saying, quote, "I appreciated my discussions with Governor Ayotte last week. From banning sanctuary cities to strengthening law enforcement cooperation, New Hampshire has been a strong partner in securing our country, and we look forward to
There's not many
continuing our
immigrants
work
there.
together." In Merrimack, opposition to locating the facility in town was bipartisan. State Senator Tim McHugh says he's glad Homeland Security is looking for what he hopes is a more appropriate location.
Merrimack's very happy to hear this and really congratulate Kelly Ayotte on her leadership. A terrific job of teamwork from everybody, from the town manager, the town council, the townspeople who spoke up repeatedly since Christmas Day. We're thrilled with the news.
All right. So Status Quo had a report from one of the protests here, small town, New Hampshire. Pretty big turnout considering a pretty low population center and pretty miserable weather.
My experience at GSOP, I know deportation can devastate a family. Families that were once supported by a breadwinner, when that breadwinner is taken away by the new Gestapo, now that family has no means to support themselves. Citizens of this country are now crippled by an overstep from the American government. Oppression. It has to stop now. Let's face it, people, this is New Hampshire. Look around. There's not enough immigrants, let alone illegal ones, to fill a detention center. That means, that's right, that means they're coming for you. That's right. And we already know that ICE's bullets don't discriminate.
So a pretty big turnout, like I said, for pretty miserable conditions in a pretty low population town. And this is one of many stories where you've seen ICE actually have to adjust and retreat. More Perfect Union did a thread on this about a week ago. People across the country have put public pressure on warehouse owners to halt the sale of their facilities to ICE. And in multiple states, it's working. The One Big Beautiful Bill gave ICE Detention Reengineering Initiative $38 billion to meet private prison investor demands to increase capacity. The DHS identified 24 warehouses for potential sale and detention conversions. So this is next in their thread. Majestic Realty Company was contacted about the potential sale of its Hutchins, Texas warehouse that could hold up to 10,000 detainees. Hutchins has a population of 6,000. Majestic Realty Company says it has not and will not enter into any agreement for the purchase or lease of any building to the Department of Homeland Security for use as a detention facility. Kansas City residents have protested Platform Ventures warehouse sale to ICE. As of last week, the company said it is not actively engaged with the U.S. government or any prospective purchaser. The city passed an ordinance restricting construction of new detention centers. One organizer said the decision wouldn't be possible without the collective action of low-wage workers. In Oklahoma City, locals and state officials joined forces in a city council meeting to pressure the owners of a Southwest Oklahoma City warehouse to exit its ICE deal to provide the DHS with a 7,500-bed detention center. No word on the final decision in that case. After backlash from folks in Virginia, Canadian tycoon Jimmy Pattison canceled the sale of his 550,000 square foot warehouse to a U.S. government contractor. Protesters organized in Vancouver, home of Jim Pattison Developments, threatening boycotts. In the rural Social Circle, Georgia, resident state officials and the police all refused to cooperate with ICE, who recently purchased a $128 million warehouse with the potential to house 10,000 detainees. Social Circle only has 5,000 residents. So you're talking about a prison that's going to swallow the town. A bipartisan social circle group of locals wrote a letter to DHS reiterating their opposition. Our identity is built on our small-scale rural character, a character that is incompatible with a federal facility of this scale. Utah's Ritchie Group, More Perfect Union, accidentally posted the wrong photo here, but this is a different tweet. Utah's Ritchie Group declined ICE's offer to turn its warehouse into a mega center. They said they have no plans to sell or lease the building to the local government. Now, this is the one that caught my eye because I grew up pretty close to Chester, New York. My mother-in-law used to live in Chester, New York, so I spent a decent amount of time there. In Chester, New York, very small town. Very, very tiny town near the New York-New Jersey border, about 50 miles north of the city. In Chester, New York, ICE claimed to have purchased a warehouse, but county officials say they have, quote, no record of such a transaction and are ready to go to court if needed. ICE has since retracted its statement on the purchase. Quote, ICE has not purchased a facility in Chester, New York, wrote a DHS spokesperson. That statement was sent without proper approval, and this mistake has since been rectified. So here was a local meeting. Orange County residents came out to express concerns over news of a new ICE facility in the area.
Officials in Orange County tonight addressing residents' concerns over reports that ICE is planning a new facility in the area. During a packed meeting in the town of Chester, fears continue to grow despite no official plans out there. Eyewitness News reporter Sonia Rincon at that meeting for us.
To think of them opening up in this town that I've lived my entire life, it's like really disgusting and it's scary and frightening.
The idea that ICE is considering building a holding center at this empty warehouse in Chester has residents of the Orange County community shuddering and showing up.
I'm so grateful to see that everybody is out here and speaking up and speaking for their neighbors.
Tonight's regular village board meeting was the most packed anyone here could remember. It had to be moved to a bigger venue, and people lined up in the cold for their turn to be heard.
If this facility opens up, they're going to be grabbing thousands of people off the streets all over the Hudson Valley, including my constituents, and sending them here to Chester. So we all need to speak out.
They did, outside. As inside, the mayor explained that the board hadn't received any permit applications to discuss. ICE has only posted a notice of activity for that address since it's in a floodplain, but people were still welcome to comment.
And you can hear the anguish at the thought of this concentration camp being.
This is Michael Sussman. This is the civil rights lawyer that my dad was friends with for a long time. He's the one who had the Patriot Act town halls. So when I say I learned about the Patriot Act from a civil rights lawyer, this is the guy whose town halls I used to go to.
Placed here. I hope people in Washington are at the thought of this concentration camp being placed here. I hope people in Washington are listening.
With no formal proposal or anything in writing from the Department of Homeland Security, a major concern here is that the federal government and an administration they don't have much trust or confidence in right now will blindside the community.
And I don't believe that they will have the capacity or forethought to be able to provide for these people.
Residents slammed the idea for humanitarian and practical reasons.
That warehouse was made for people to work in, made for industry.
Town Supervisor Brian Holdridge says an ICE facility would strain the infrastructure and tear apart the community.
I think this goes against American values. I think this will be remembered as a stain on American history, just like the Japanese internment camps were.
In Chester, New York, Sonia Rincon, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
So as you probably glean from looking at it, this is not a lib town. So it's a pretty conservative town, actually. And this is the Orange County executive, Steve Newhouse, Republican, I'm sure a 3-time Trump voter. Here he is doing a video about the planned ICE facility. Now, this was before they clarified that they had backed down. But this is a Republican. This is a 3-time Trump voter who's a local official. Listen to what he thinks about this ICE facility here.
Steve Newhouse, I'm the Orange County executive, and today is Friday, the 13th, go figure. And I wanted to give everybody an update about the ICE facility and some of the ICE operations in Orange County. Right after the new year, we got word that ICE was looking to buy the Pep Boys empty warehouse in the village of Chester. It's a 400,000 square foot warehouse that was recently became vacant. And we heard about it because the federal government had filed a permit to do work in the wetlands. And what that work would be was, let's say you have the building, a 400,000 square foot building. They wanted to be able to work in the wetlands so they can build a fenced in area to allow detainees to have some, I guess, fresh air, if you will, right? We were never notified by the federal government. We just saw that that was filed. The governor, myself, have talked about it, and everybody's been identified, the Village of Chester mayor and the Village of Chester supervisor. Everybody concerned about it. The greater community concerned about it. We filed objections and the letters saying that we didn't think it was a good idea, but we didn't file a lawsuit. I'm not a lawyer, but I have a great county attorney and a great team of lawyers that are filing lawsuits on behalf of the county, or they will if we need to, but we can't sue yet because there hasn't been any action yet. We've seen this happen before in other states. It's been a complete dumpster fire, all right? I don't want that here. You don't want that here. I will tell you, one of the things that's unified every elected official in my county and in the region, I have not had one elected official in New York State, in the Hudson Valley, in Orange County, call me and say they're for this. Every Republican, my legislature, my partners there, voted 21-0 last week against this. Most of my town supervisors, whether they sign letters or not, don't want this in their local town. So this has galvanized the political support because we know what this comes in there. Now I got to make sure that the commuter lot is not, infiltrated with thousands of people that are upset about what's going on here.
So he's talking about the stress that the protests also bring to these small towns, right? When you build these things.
Despite the fact of what ICE has been doing here, they haven't had operations here for decades. George Bush, Barack Obama, Trump 1.0, Biden, and now Trump now, they've had a presence in our community, locking up felons and people that are accused of a crime. What we're seeing across America, particularly in the last year, is a lot different. They're rounding up a lot of people that have come on over the border over the last few years and putting them in these detention centers. So my problem, with many problems on this, is that I have zero communication. They're not even calling the New York State Police, the governor, who we have a right. We're here. I'm an elected official. I represent 400,000 plus Orange County residents. Have gotten zero communication from them on this. And they want to be a partner. They're going to operate and do these things here. So, okay, I'm trying to be as polite as possible.
Yeah. This is the problem I told you they would run into as soon as this story broke. The first segment we ever did on this, I said they're going to run into the NIMBY problem. Right? People don't want this near them. Even people who are theoretically for this shit, once you say, all right, well, I guess we're going to use that warehouse on Main Street in your town, they're like, oh, wait a minute. No, not here. No, we can't have that here. That's too much. It was pretty foreseeable that you're going to run into these kinds of issues, even in pretty red areas. As he said all 21 of the Republicans said no, they don't want this. Both Howard and Baltimore counties in Maryland approved legislation that blocks ICE construction within their jurisdiction. ICE is also eyeing a warehouse in New Hampshire to hold between 400 and 600 detainees. The expected cost is over $150 million. New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte said she did not know about the deal, but locals are skeptical. Ayotte's constituents are equally upset, with one state representative saying she felt punched in the gut by Ayotte. That's right. The new processing center will be 11 miles from Massachusetts. We certainly should not be allowing ICE to build new human warehouses where they can't be trusted to keep people safe and protect due process, says Maura Healy. And of course, brings us back to where we are. The New Hampshire ICE facility has been scrapped. So, yeah, when you look at town by town, municipality by municipality, the problem that I predicted they would run into is that even members of their own party, they have local constituencies that they have to be responsible for. Even if they are ideologically in agreement with this, which you see some cracks in that coalition too. Newhouse there, like I said, Republican guy saying, yeah, under Trump 1 and Obama and Biden, they would round up the criminals. That's not what they're doing now. They're doing a lot more than that. You're seeing protests locally start to put a lot of pressure on especially Republican politicians, but obviously in Democratic areas too. I mean, Baltimore certainly a blue stronghold. So it's not simply a partisan thing. But yeah, people who have elections to win are not going to have an easy time winning elections when they allow concentration camps to take over their towns. You allow a 10,000 inmate prison to take over a 5,000 population town. This is why people don't want jails in their towns. This is why a lot of times when you see prisons, they're out in the middle of nowhere. They're out in the middle of rural areas. People don't want jails right in their town. They don't like it. And they're running into the same issue here. And this is a very, very, as we said multiple times, it's very, very important that politicians hear pushback when these kinds of plans surface, because once these things open up, they don't close down. There just becomes new rationales to fill them and new outgroups to fill them with. And so good sign that you're seeing some success to a lot of this pushback.
Yeah, this is the way. The way. And really, you need a lot more of that. And you need it on every level. In terms of conservative backlash against this, I covered this in a nice piece I did the other day. Look, man, you do have a lot of these people that are just broken brain simps, but real independent minded conservatives who have been running around talking about FEMA camps and how they're going to build facilities to round up the population are talking about this that way.
Right.
And hey, all right, I'm not like a rapture second coming kind of a person, but something we can all agree on, I think, is that it is extremely dangerous to have the government in control of mass detention facilities strategically placed in every region in the United States. And something else I will agree on with people who are concerned about FEMA camps. I might not agree with them about that, but in terms of this, we have said this from day one. This was never about immigrants. It was never about immigrants. Just like the fraud thing with the Medicare and Medicaid is not about fraud. It's not about fraud. There is not that level of fraud that it's an emergency. Whether you'd be running around with your hair on fire about it the way that they are. It was always about getting public support for cutting your own throat and taking away what little remains of the post-New Deal, post-Great Society social safety net. It was always to build public support for destroying public support. That's what that was always about.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with ICE. It was using antipathy towards immigrants and immigration as a way to build a Gestapo. And what does a Gestapo need? Concentration camps to put all the political dissidents you're going to round up into. So they're going to establish these facilities under the premise it's for immigrants, and they're going to wind up using them for Americans. Look what happened after World War II. Okay, you needed all this arms manufacturing. You're fighting a war, and what happened? The arms manufacturers took over. That was it. It became a big industry at that point. You couldn't shut it down at that point. The tail wound up wagging the dog. What do you think's going to happen once the immigration problem is solved, which presumably it would be eventually, right? Like eventually you're going to deport everyone who needs to be deported, and you're certainly at the very least going to reduce it to a very minor problem that doesn't need anything like an organization or facilities on this scale. So what do you think? They're going to tell everyone to go home? They're going to cut the funding? No. They're going to turn it on you. That's what it was always about.
Yeah, homeless people. Look how they talk about homeless people. We got to get them off the streets. Trump talks about how he wants to bring back insane asylums, right? Mentally ill people. Debtors' prisons. That's why I'm a little surprised that they're not going after the fraudsters to put them in jail. Like, you can bring back that. Like, you could always find a rationale to lock more people up. That's what this country does best. And so I think people are kind of hip to that. And even the ones who aren't hip to that, the NIMBY effect is a very, very powerful political sentiment. People do not want shit near them. They don't want George Carlin did a great bit about that. They don't want anything near them. He says, what are you so afraid of having a jail in your town? If somebody breaks out of jail, what do you think they're going to stick around the town? They're out of there. They're fucking out of there. All right. Let's go to some super chats and then Rumble rants, and then we'll close the lights.
All right. Turd Burglar. Hey, from last Tuesday's show, can I enlist in the Navy to help them unplug the aircraft carrier toilets? I suddenly feel very patriotic. Well, you know what? Since we did that segment, we speculated at the time, but there's more and more reporting that it looks like the sailors are doing it on purpose
Inside
to
job.
sabotage the mission.
Yeah. Inside job. That's right. Well over 2,500 as of a few minutes ago.
In the year 2525.
And of course, 666 likes. We're at double that. There we go. Smash that like button. Iron Maiden nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, by the way, this year.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah. So again, we're premiering that video on my ShufflePod channel in 10 minutes. This will redirect you over there when the stream ends. So we'll end it a few minutes before 3:45 strategically, so you're all there on time. But yep, that's the channel right there. Go check it out. YouTube.com/ShufflePod.
All right. Xander Vorkov. Oorah, the company behind the Jew organization in Lakewood and New Jersey, is literally an anthropomorphic $5 bill named Five-ish as their mascot. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
Look, man, this is why I say these people want anti-Semitism. All right, so I think you drop the same chat twice, maybe by accident.
Oh, okay.
Kuznetsky was saying no one is coming to save us, but maybe there's still hope.
Thank you, Kuznetsky. Appreciate that very much.
Andy Gardner, why do we always get the dystopian stuff? We should be living in a sci-fi noir.
Yeah, picaresque
thriller or something.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks for
that's
reminding me. I actually have to do that one today. Where is it? Where the hell is it? Where is the picaresque thriller? I forget. Where did I lose it? All right, I'll do it. Oh no, there it is. There it is. All right, I'll do that on the way out. Where the hell is it? There we go. All right, there's the picaresque thriller. All right, I got that one. Ready to go. Thanks for the reminder there. Good assist. Professor Brown note, sending love and nuts to Z Squirrel, the little hero fighting the evil on X for those who can't stomach it. Code MD, more like Dan Bongino, Lolo Brigida, and he looks like RoboCop towards the end of the movie with his helmet off. Mark Pugliese, Keaton, I agree with the last guy. Your behavior is divisive. Oh, my behavior is divisive. Is that right? Well, fuck you, then. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
I mean, more than usual.
Yeah, more than usual. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro vows to do whatever he can to block 2 warehouses from being converted into ICE facilities. Well, there you go. Vienticus Prime, Somerset, New Jersey mayor advised people to be skeptical of anyone claiming to be an ICE agent unless there's a local police officer with them. Or it was something like that. I forget the exact wording. Thank you, Vienticus. Nocturnal Human, T-Bone says his rant got missed from an hour ago. Have fun there, Russell. Good night. No, we got it. We got T-Bone's rant. You just got to pay close attention. Don't worry, we got it. Can we have some forking jobs in those forking empty warehouses? Forking ice holes. Thank you. EO Shush, Keaton, when is your dad going to guest host when Russ is out? Yeah, that would be something. Here's a question no Trump supporter will ever ask.
That would be a classic episode.
It would be a classic episode. If we're trying to get these people out of the country, why are we building places to hold them? Well, they say it's for, a month or two. That's what they say. Thanks, gents. Bravo. Thanks, T-Bone. Appreciate that very much. All right. Just got to tell you about the Grifter's Bible, which is the mind-bending novel by El Shabooms and now a free weekly series on YouTube with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. Follow the First Electric Church of Jesus Christ as they combine the bleeding edge of black patented neuroscience with the state-of-the-art in Michigan to beat the Great Recession. They sell visions of God to the huddled masses of Deep Ellum, Texas, and the money pours in until the local competition, the police, and the U.S. Navy decide to put a stop to it. There's ass whoopings, car chases, and a showdown at high noon on Good Friday in Dodge City. It's sci-fi noir. It's a picaresque thriller. It's a Western from 10 minutes in the future. It's the Grifter's Bible. New episodes every Monday at youtube.com/@LShabooms. So thank you all very much for being here today. Is that all? Is that everything we got over here? Do I got one more Rumble rant over here? Let me see. Do I got one? Yeah, I got one. Shadowrun is a game I like to play, says Vianticus. Not a world I want to live in. Stephen Miller looks like a goddamn goblin. Thank you, my friend. All right, folks, we will see you all back here Sunday night, unless, of course, you are a member. Then we'll see you Saturday night, although we will see everybody for the first, 20 minutes. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to do an introduction to the film, a sort of interview about the film with Kevin Ronka from Right Brain TV, who's the curator of all the Right Brains films. And then we will switch to the members-only channel for the screening, and then we'll have talk back. It's going to be a great night. We're really looking forward to that. So patreon.com/Due Dissidence to sign up for Film Club. That's Saturday night. And then we're back on the public stream here on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks to the YouTubers, thanks to the Rumblers, thanks to the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. We will see you on Sunday night, back on the main show Saturday for the Film Club. Until we see you again, thanks again for spending the afternoon with us. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.